So right in here and then right in here. I think this is the bigger one. That's the brighter rotation. That's the stronger rotation that we want to be concerned about. Murchison down here to the southeast. Outside of that, the storm itself is moving to the northeast at roughly at about 25 to 30 miles an hour. That's been their kind of modus operandi here tonight, and they're moving and their mode and their movement. There's Highway 64. There's Edom. Edom is downstream of that storm right now. So it looks like it's in a fairly rural part of eastern Van Zandt County. And with that in mind, there may be fewer structures out there, but certainly nonetheless very important for folks to make sure that they can get down to their safe place right now. Again, if you're just joining us right now, if you're flipping around, there is a tornado warning until 8:15. That's Van Zandt County. Tornadoes this time of the year, not unusual, especially once we get into North Texas, Northeast Texas. Van Zandt County just a few years ago had, in 2019, had 3 tornadoes that touched down. It was late in May and early June, so certainly can happen when even this late into the storm season. We typically think of the storm season sort of running until the middle part of May here, but this one has been a little bit accentuated. It's been going on a little bit longer than what we would typically think about. All right, so this storm appears to be moving to the east, almost due east, and it's right at about 20 miles an hour. So let me come right off of that rotation and push this out 20 miles an hour right to the edge of what we're seeing in terms of that severe thunderstorm warning. So that's Edom. Edom and Redland, really the 2 places that are inside that cone right now at 817 in Edom and 835 in Redland. So let me go back and we'll widen this out just for you to give you an idea of maybe perhaps a better, like a wider view of where we could see. So this again, Brownsboro would be south of that current warning, but maybe that rotation itself. So Brownsboro is going to be down here. Murchison's right here. There's your rotation. 175 is back here. There's Malakoff. There was that photo that I talked about from the Weather Service suggesting that there may be something very close to on the ground or on the ground. We'll see if the Weather Service has anything new to say about that. But Redland and even Chandler would be downstream of this warning. But again, the cell itself has had some rotation going all the way back to about Gun Barrel City. It just hasn't been very strong. It did tighten up here in the last few minutes, but that is why they had that severe thunderstorm warning on that till 7:45 with a tornado possible tag in that. So I was looking, here's Opelika, Brownsboro about 8 o'clock, Redland 8:14. Again, these areas are outside of that cone, but this is going to account for any type of deviation of the storm movement. Say if it moves back to the right a little bit. This is part of a cell that was sitting out there by itself, so it was ingesting a lot of good air by itself, a lot of warm and humid air. It has kind of joined up with the other storms at this time, and so that may weaken it just a little bit, but it certainly doesn't look like it by that any means on that that radar rotation or that inside looking at that storm. Storm is making a right turn, so that's something you have to be thinking about. It's making a right turn through portions of Henderson and Van Zandt County. These right turners sometimes can be stronger and can become a little bit more dangerous. So again, that's what I just pointed out, and that's why we put that path a little bit farther to the south. Here's what the National Weather Service is saying. Rotation has fallen apart a bit and weakened. Could certainly be some tornadic potential with the storm, and they're going to keep a close eye on it. But they are continuing that tornado warning until 8:15 for southwestern Van Zandt County, and almost should be able to include the southeastern portion of Van Zandt County. And they're saying that the severe thunderstorm itself is going to be closer to Purtis Creek State Park along the Henderson-Van Zandt County line, moving northeast at 10 miles an hour. I believe the cell itself is moving closer to 20 miles an hour right now. So that's the cell that we are particularly concerned about. It's east of Gun Barrel City again, and north and east of Malakoff. But the photos that we've seen of what appears to be at least a brief touchdown out there in the open areas northeast of 175, we would keep that tornado warning ongoing until 8:15. So again, we always tell you to respect the polygon. Certainly if you're inside the polygon, and there aren't many areas at all inside that red box, but outside of that red box, if it were to move and turn southeastward into northern Henderson County, then we get Henderson County added into that tornado warning. That's why I was bringing in Murchison and even Chandler and Redland and Brownsboro to keep an eye on the storm, because if it does make that right-hand turn, sometimes it can get a little bit stronger. But you can see in that latest scan, it did kind of jump farther into Van Zandt County. It's south of Canton right now, so just south of Canton. Remember, approaching Highway 19 going into Canton, so it looks like it's crossing right over Highway 19 right now. Still well to the southwest of Interstate 20 and still to the southwest of Lindale. So if you know anyone that lives in that area, if you know anyone that might be driving toward Canton or perhaps west toward Gun Barrel City or 175, I'd have them slow down on 175 and let that storm continue to move to the east. If you know anybody from Lindale that's thinking about making a trip tonight, probably not advised. On top of the tornado potential, we have a lot of heavy rain potential. Of course, that's reducing visibility, causing ponding on roadways, and that can cause slide-offs and things of that nature. And then anybody that would think about being outside, just a ton of lightning with these storms on top of that. So just another night where we're seeing severe thunderstorm potential and a tornado warning. Typically, this would not be a storm that I would think of as having tornado potential, but this is one singular cell that was sort of sitting out ahead of that line as it was advancing to the south. And as it was advancing to the south, that cell was just sitting there on its own. So that's what we're working with right now. It's just that one singular cell, very small area of tornado potential inside that cell, but nonetheless, there is tornado potential there. And from the pictures we've seen, it certainly would back that up. All right, let's zoom in, get a little bit closer on that cell, see if we can, we're switching back and forth when you see it go to different colors. We are accessing two different radars. We're either accessing the Fort Worth radar or we're accessing the Shreveport National Weather Service radar. And right now, what we would be doing is we're looking at the Fort Worth radar. With the bright green area, that's going to be the area that is heading back toward Fort Worth. So green toward and then red away. So that's the area of potential right there, just to the west of Highway 19 right now. All right, I need to zoom in here just a little bit. I'm going to try to go down as tight as possible and maybe get a little bit tighter. There's Martins Mill. Martins Mill, you are inside that polygon. So please, if you live in Martins Mill and this storm is approaching Martins Mill right now, let's go to our safe place. We tell you often where your safe place is going to be. That's going to be that most interior, lowest room of your house or your apartment. Folks who live on the second floor, if you don't know anybody that lives on the first floor, the next best thing to do would be to head inside, say, a closet or a bathroom that is at the most interior of that structure. Think of it this way. If you're trying to figure out where to go, count the 4 walls of your house or your apartment, and then count maybe 4 more walls of an interior room, whether it's a bedroom with no windows, a bathroom with no windows, maybe a closet with no windows, and go to that. And then again, as we said, take along your CBS19 mobile app. And you can also listen to us. We simulcast with our Alpha Media radio partners, and that's going to be 106.5 Jack FM, Kicks 105.7, 104 The Ranch, and La Emisora at 96.7. And so we simulcast with them, and what ends up happening is that you can listen to the coverage even though you're inside your safe place, and maybe you can't get an internet connection or something in there, or your phone perhaps maybe dies, you didn't have it charged up enough with battery, you have that backup with the radio. And so that's always a good idea, is take that radio along, maybe a small TV, and sometimes when there is a severe thunderstorm watch, or even certainly a tornado watch, you put that stuff in there ahead of time. And this is just a classic example of how when you have a severe thunderstorm watch, you can have tornadoes, you can have tornado warnings in and around the watch area. We've seen oftentimes where there are tornadoes even outside of a watch area, and that's why the language that you'll hear often used with a tornado or a severe thunderstorm watch is in or close to or near the watch area or the severe thunderstorm warning. Waiting for a new scan here. Does look like that circulation has broadened out a little bit. Looks like there may be more of a forward push of air that's just crossed over 19, so some stronger wind flow here, a little bit weaker. That's going to be stronger wind flow going back toward Fort Worth, a little bit weaker going away. So there's probably some pretty good inflow winds coming into that storm right now. And perhaps I could switch over to a different method here, a different product that we could derive what perhaps the winds are doing just coming into town. Look, that even better. It looks like that circulation is really starting to widen out. But Martins Mill, you're probably going to catch a pretty good wind gust right now. So let me switch products and look straight at the winds itself. See if we can figure out from that what we've got going on with the winds, how strong they are. Okay, A lot of lightning in there, and honestly, down at the surface, those winds don't look as strong as they do when we look at the winds independent of the movement of the storm. So when we put that back on, and I'm going to widen this back out, just got to give everybody sort of a broad feel for what's going on here tonight. That storm itself, a part of a large cluster. We've had several severe thunderstorm warnings from Longview over toward Marshall and Shreveport, with these purple areas indicating flash flooding. So we're seeing flash flooding again. And at this point, with all the rain that we've had here recently, it doesn't take probably much more than about a ½ inch to inch of additional rainfall, and you're back into flash flooding. It is moving into Tyler right now, not the tornado part of the warned storm, but the whole cluster of thunderstorms that this is all wrapped into is starting now to move to the east. Our Titan indicators here, moderate rotation showing up. There was a stronger signal coming in that Van Zant and Henderson County line storm right there, but you can see all that lightning, and that lightning would indicate a couple of different things. We've got strong updraft in that storm, which is providing or helping to provide some larger hailstones. So there may be some quarter-sized hail or even bigger than that within that cell right now. But that tornado warning again till 8:15, so you got about another, say 25 minutes on that warning. All right, let's get an update from the National Weather Service office in Fort Worth and see what they've got going on here. They are saying the rotation in the storm that prompted the tornado warning in Van Zant County has broadened out a bit. The tornado warning will be canceled here shortly as the tornado has been occluded by cool air and rain. Well, that is not surprising, and there it is. They have just canceled the tornado warning for Van Zant County, so they just dropped it. Yeah, a lot of pictures of lowerings like that.
Spotted Lindsay Park in Tyler.
That's Lindsay Park in Tyler?
That's
okay.
why the sirens were going off.
Oh, we had sirens going off in okay, so the sirens were going off also in the city of Tyler. So, Zach, can you give me a look outside from any one of our cameras here? We'll be able to, I think I have up the CBS19 studio camera. Mata Lopez just showed me sort of, it was a lowering for sure on a cell near Lindsay Park, so out here in the southwestern part of the city. Right now, I'm looking at that camera viewpoint here, and I'll step out just so I can get a better view of it. It does look like there's some pretty low clouds back there to the southwest. So we'll stay on air here, just anticipating perhaps another warning coming out of Smith County, but it's going to be toward Lindsay Park. And when I see that, we'll jump ahead and go over to velocity. Velocity looks pretty spread out. If that was a little bit ago, that rotation itself has spread out. So, and I did not see anything from the National Weather Service in Shreveport, but you can see that picture on that other side of the screen shows the clouds are just, they're kind of ground scrubbers here moving through the area, but that would be the rotation. It looks really broad and widened out right now. So I don't have a super amount of concern for it at this moment, but you know, if you live in Smith County, southwest side of Tyler, northwest side of Tyler, it might be time to just think about where you would go in case of a tornado warning being issued. Nonetheless, you know, the city of Tyler was testing their tornado sirens, but I don't think that they would have sounded them at this time with the cell being that close. So the sirens were going off in the city of Tyler, but no tornado warning for city of Tyler or Smith County at this time. But they did sound the outdoor warning system in Smith County. So just know that. You can kind of take a deeper breath. We do not have a tornado warning currently in Tyler. But I'll flip back. What we do have, though, is probably a flash flood warning coming soon. I think I just saw that mentioned. And a severe thunderstorm warning that's currently in the northwest corner of Smith County. So there is some rotation in that cell. Don't get me wrong. There's some, our Titan indicator would indicate some not even low to medium. When we get into that yellow area, that's low to medium rotation. Let me see what we're looking at when we look inside that storm. So what we'll do here is we have an algorithm that we can produce and look at that storm. And you can see it's moving northeast at 31 miles an hour. The maximum hail side in that storm is roughly just the size of quarters, maybe a little bit bigger. But that tornado impact with that was sitting at a 1.2. Even the wind impact is lower than, say, the hail impact on that storm. So sometimes, you know, it's good to have what we call those Titan indicators. Gives us a look inside a storm like that. gives us an idea of where we're going to see that storm. But again, by the way, that Van Zant tornado warning was allowed to expire. We did have the sirens going off. I'll wait and see. We're giving you the view of the radar, and then also we're giving you the view of what looks like a pretty low cloud. I can't tell if that's a shelf cloud from this vantage point. We've seen lots of shelf clouds this week, the last couple of weeks. And again, those shelf clouds sometimes can be confused for wall clouds. They're not wall clouds. The picture, though, I did see that was out by Lindsay Park, there was a bit of a lowering off of that cloud. So it did not produce a tornado, even though the outdoor warning system went up. Zach, can you take that camera full? I just want to get a better view. So I'm looking at it in a small box, and I just want to see what we're looking at here. And can you take it here back so I can see it behind me? Or is that what we're seeing on air? Okay. So it doesn't look, it just looks like there's kind of a sharp base on that. I don't see any type of lowering right now. So I'm not super concerned. Of course, remember we had the tornado last April. And when we had that tornado, the cloud base was definitive. We definitely had the lowering. You could see it looks like there's just a lot of heavy rain, perhaps moving up from southwestern parts of Smith County to the northwest side of town. All right, let's go back to radar. And here's what we're looking at. Flash flood warning just issued. That's going to be for Smith County. I just talked about that. So you've got Van Zant County and a flash flood warning. You've got Smith County and the city of Tyler in a flash flood warning. So this brings about another threat here tonight. If you have any plans to be driving and you come upon some deep water, please do not try to drive through that deep water. It doesn't take much water, especially if it's flowing swiftly, where it can loosen your car off the roadway and give it a nudge. And once your tires lose contact with the road, I mean, you're at the beck and call of wherever that water wants to take you. And so that's dangerous. So flash flood warning now in effect until 11:45 tonight for Smith County, the northern half of Smith County, but it does include the city of Tyler. Severe thunderstorm warning continues until 8:15 for northern parts of Smith County and this area here, with a lot of lightning showing some rotation. There's likely also some hail coming in that cell. All right, we have some pictures to show you here from this storm tonight and give me an idea of where we're looking at. Okay, so that's the Lindsay Park storm. Are we looking out, what the road we're looking out there that's not 31 looking west, is it? Okay, so that's 31 looking west toward that lowering. And then that picture just to the right of it, this comes to us from the Tyler Police Department, also has a different vantage point of this. Okay, so I've seen this a few times in my career where you get the lowering. So remember that you've got a lot of warm, moist air at the surface. You have some cooler air that's flowing, maybe a little bit of a downdraft. And so at that point where we're seeing that lowering, that's where that condensation is starting to take place. Now, it would certainly indicate that there is enough rotation. I do see in that picture, I don't know if I'll step out and see if I can show you what's going on here. I see some spiraling in this, which would give us an idea. Okay, so right in here, you can see the spiraling. So this is the updraft of the storm. So the air's flowing in here, and then it's spiraling up into the storm. And so as it does, we can see that other part, that lowering part. So this is going to spiral in like this. There's colder air rushing down here, and even some cooler air flowing out of the back that's flowing back down into the storm. So you don't see the spiraling as much on that photo there, but this is a pretty good indication. You can almost see the outer band here flowing in also. So there's a lot, that gives us a good indication of that rotation within that cell. But again, it's not tornado warned at this time in the city of Tyler. All right, let's go back to the radar. The outdoor warning sirens were sounded, but we did not have any type of anything that hit the ground. So if it stays, even if it was a funnel and it stayed aloft, it's a funnel cloud. Until it reaches the ground, that's when it becomes a tornado, but right now simply not happening at this time. Still a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 8:15. Sarah Blue has joined me now from the Weather Center. And Sarah, another night with some dark and menacing storm clouds overhead for sure.
Certainly, Brett. I don't have a mic on.
Okay. All right. Well, let me just point out. Let's take the lightning off here, and maybe let's go back to storm relative velocity. And when we do that, we might be able to look inside that. See, there's really not much in the way of rotation within that cell anymore. There might have been up here toward Lindale, just a little bit of that. All right, severe thunderstorm warning. We'll click on that. We'll walk you through the latest warnings here. So we have the severe thunderstorm warning. So that's the new one that now includes Smith, Upshur, Wood County. This is going to be for all of this cell here, and that is pushed southeastward. Does not include Bullard, but White House is likely, and that we'll put a track on this in just a second. And then we have the flash flood warning that's also in effect, and that flash flood warning I think is also going to include Smith County and Wood County, and that's going to go until 11:15. All right, Sarah, let's track that cell from Big Sandy down to Tyler. It looks like it's moving southeast. It's interesting to note that inside those cells, there's individually inside those cells, they seem to be moving to the part of the rotation that was tornado warned out in Van Zandt County on the northern half of Henderson County. That, believe it or not, was moving sort of east within that whole cell at about 14 miles an hour. But it looks like these are sort of pushing southeastward more in that area of about 20 to 25 miles an hour. So Browning, Liberty City, Overton, and Kilgore until about 8:30. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We'll stay on till 8 o'clock, and then if it looks like we're getting some nastier winds, we'll stay on longer than that. But this will be a pretty good update and a pretty good chance to break at 8 p.m. with that tornado warning now expired or canceled early in Van Zandt County. But from Gilmer to Gladewater, even Chandler getting some heavier rain right now, and that is headed over toward Overton and Kilgore between 8:20 and 8:28. So what can you expect with this? Well, there is some hail in there. We'll take a look at the hail just to bring you up to date on that. There's also some gusty winds, possibly up to 60 miles an hour. It takes 58 miles an hour to get a severe thunderstorm warning. And then I don't see any tags on this from the Weather Service, meaning that they possibly think that there would be any type of rotation strong enough for a tornado, even though we saw some pretty ominous pictures there. All right, so let's look at that hail core southeast of Hideaway, up 271. That's going to be right there to the north side of Tyler, and it looks like it's corresponding with about $half sized hail, so quarters to $half. And again, sometimes our radar can overestimate that just a little bit, but it just gives us a really good idea right here, moving through up highways through 69 towards Swan, and then 271 as it makes that turn away from the Shell station there, going up toward Winsboro, up toward Big Sandy, and that is headed toward New Chapel Hill. So if you live in New Chapel Hill, it could be a nice hail, it's never nice, but what I mean when I use that phrase, it means that there is a solid area of perhaps some quarter-sized hail headed right toward New Chapel Hill, also on the I'd say the northeast side of Tyler right there. Right up where the loop sort of meets up with 271, and then it splits off and goes to the north. So maybe over toward UT Health North too, that would be coming across that area also. So just keep that in mind that that's where that cell is right now. In fact, we can zoom in on that just a little bit. Looks like the hail core widened out a little bit more. And yeah, certainly. So north side right over 69. So that's by Swan. That's right over Swan right now and headed southeast. And then, like I said, UT Health North is going to be right in here. I think that, and then as you head up to the northeast, so that'll cross right over the hospital and continue moving southeastward. There's 31 headed out east, so this is probably going to cross right over 31 by the Walmart, by the Aldi on the east side of town, out 31. Going west from town, looks like it misses it. Sounds like we're starting to get some of the heavier rain here at the TV station, so and maybe we'll start to hear some hailstones soon. But right now it looks like the hail core got a little bit bigger here toward golf ball sized hail toward up north on 69 highway. Sarah, zoom in just a little bit farther on this and see if we got right there at Swan right now and east. There's the industrial plant, and that headed across toward the loop right now. So the north side of Tyler with some at least $half sized hail, could be a little bit bigger than that. I am going to look at the Weather Service, see if there's getting any spotter reports from that side of town, and see if they can tell us anything. So there was some pea-sized hail reported by some storm spotters. Again, that might have been when before the hail core came up a little bit, or here is, you can hear the wind and the hail coming down here now. Now the Weather Service is saying severe warning for Smith and Wood counties for the wind threat. So with that in mind, let's take a look. Let's take a look outside. Look at our camera right now. So we do have a lot of wind coming down. It would be so we may have some more power outages in the city of Tyler, and so this has just really, in the last few minutes, developed. Okay, I'm glad we stayed on for this. we're going to stay with you folks here in Tyler as this blows through, all right? Hopefully you can join us also on our Facebook page, and also perhaps you are joining us through our streaming app, CBS19.tv. You know what I'd do? I'd go to my safe place right now. Just those winds look like they could be pushing 70 miles an hour. So we may have a bunch of trees knocked down, certainly a bunch of power outages. If we could go back to radar. Sarah, can you switch this over to the other camera? We have our Tyler camera up from the Chase Bank building, and it's going to give us a pretty good view here. So that's what we're looking at. Right on the leading edge of those winds have just crossed the south part of the loop where we are. And you're talking about some severe winds out toward White House. So it's going to move into White House, Flint, also down here toward Bullard and Teaselsville, New Chapel Hill. You can worry about the hail core, but you're also going to have a lot of that wind coming into the eastern part of Smith County. And then toward Kilgore, eventually, you're going to get some of these strong winds. Those winds are just ferocious right now. We're going to give you another view here. This is going to be from the Tyler camera. We've got a camera on top of the Chase Bank building that looks to the north, up Broadway. That's Broadway. You cannot see anything. And typically, the sun sets at about 8:15. So if it was a normal day, we'd be able to see. But you could just see from the lowering of how low the clouds are, how heavy the rain is, and just the wind that is just pounding on top of that. So, yeah, this is, hopefully, if you're watching us, we're giving you a good feel and riding out the storm with you as it moves through. Hopefully, these winds will settle down here just a little bit, but it looks like this could be a wind threat that could be exceeding or getting closer to 60 to 70 miles an hour. It looks like that may have frozen, so it may have just taken a lightning hit. All right, let's go back to, all right, look at this. This was an older view. That is a fabulous shot. So this looks like it was an older view that we grabbed on that camera. All right, let's go back to radar. And Sarah, let's look at the storm relative velocity and or just velocities in general, but storm relative. So you're still looking at that looks like some pretty good rotation within that cell, but I'm going to guess that these are just some straight line powerful winds that we are experiencing across the area, especially right in here. We just felt the leading edge of that wind. And again, the radar may be just a little bit behind. Remember, they send that sweep out, goes back to the Weather Service, comes down to the product, comes out into our product, and then wherever you're watching from, if you're watching on a streaming service, it may take 2 additional minutes for those winds to get to you. So if you live in the southeast side of, there it is. Oh, okay, so I think we just caught up to what's going on here. Can we sample some of that? Maybe either you just tell me what you're seeing, or if you want to turn off the warnings and then just kind of see what's going on inside there. Okay, I got to think these winds right now are just going to be pushing almost up to hurricane strength. They just look really powerful from our camera's vantage point here. And you can, if we want to go ahead and take a look at that camera again. So 79 miles an hour. So remember, that's going to be a little higher up in the storm, but it's certainly possible to transfer that energy and that wind speed down to the surface. So Sarah just pinpointed on that one area that we were experiencing here, and this may be, you could be looking at least 65 mile an hour winds, if not stronger than that, could be closer to 70. All right, so this storm just really got its act together. Moving out of Dallas, we had some severe thunderstorm warnings with it. It turned southeast, and this storm has just gotten a lot stronger. All right, let's go back to radar here. As we go back to radar, so look at that velocity, 83 miles an hour. Again, that's probably going to be higher up in the storm. Remember, we're sampling a couple thousand feet off the surface, but as we do, let me just show you what we're talking about, and let me time this out. All right, so Winona down to the southeast, the storm is moving 25 miles an hour, and if I can get down there. All right, so Chapel Hill, it's imminent, okay? Chapel Hill, imminent. White House right there, Liberty City. Kilgore, 839. Out toward New London, Turnertown, Kilgore, okay? So you live in those areas there. Potential here for some damaging winds. Let me see if they've upgraded this severe thunderstorm warning on this from the Weather Service. Sometimes what they'll talk about is using what they call destructive tag on a storm, or sometimes it can even go as high as catastrophic if we get up to 80 mile an hour winds. But those winds itself that we're experiencing look absolutely stronger than what a typical severe thunderstorm warning would come out on. It would come out for, they'd issue one for 58 mile an hour winds. Well, those are stronger than that, and those are continuing. So they had a radar indicated 61 mile an hour wind gust that was measured at Tyler Pounds. So that was at Tyler Pounds a few minutes ago. That was 61 mile an hour wind gust. And it looks like since it was out at Pounds that the storm has strengthened. So, and again, this is going to be a little bit behind. So that storm's already at Chapel Hill. We're feeling it here down on the loop. And the winds are spreading out. So it looks like we've got a pretty good cold pool of air behind it. It's enhanced the winds behind the storm. It's pushing it out. As it does, very strong winds from White House to Chapel Hill toward Flint. And I bet now, Sarah, if we take this off, that looks like that. It looks like the winds may have bowed out. Nope, not yet. But it looks like they're trying to bow out right in here. Our TV station's here and we can feel it, but it's going to be the leading edge here. White House. Yeah, there's probably there's going to be some wind damage out of this cell for sure, and again some power outages. So we're tracking the storm moving to the southeast. I believe it was about 20 to 25 miles an hour. Look at the winds. So this has been going on now for a good 10 minutes. I almost jumped off the air, and then the wind started to pick up, and then we saw that wind gust at 61 miles an hour. So I'm glad we stayed on just to get everybody in Tyler through this storm and then out into eastern parts of Smith County. This is probably one of the stronger bursts of wind that we've seen since maybe last Tuesday when we had the tornado warning. So again, that camera is going to freeze from time to time. Still some, and this would make a lot of sense if you're going to have circulation within the cell. Think about just that wind rushing downward, and of course it's going to encounter frictional forces. It's going to hit the ground, it's going to spread out, and so of course it's going to have, and there's wind running into it, so of course it's going to have different turning and twisting motions to it. Right now, not a tornado warning, but if you get winds at 75 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour, I mean, you could be talking about, that's a low end. That's an EF0 to almost EF1 tornado strength. So just think about that in terms of damage. Hopefully we don't have any trees falling on houses or anything, but if you live in Smith County, I would move to the center portion of my house away from windows. If you know there are any big trees outside of your house, probably a good idea to head closer to the interior portion of that house and stay away from anywhere where a tree could fall into your house, because that would certainly be possible with these storms. Let's go back. It looks like the hail core has really come down on that, Sarah. We'll go back to either velocity or just the reflectivity here. The strongest part of the storm is now moving into southeastern Smith County. So Troop on the Cherokee County line, Cherokee or Jacksonville, you're not in that part of the storm yet. Severe thunderstorm warning still exists within this yellow area here. The strongest winds are going to be right on Highway 69 up to the north. So it looks like, let's see, Coffee City is there, maybe noonday. Noonday's probably getting, or has been getting hit with some pretty strong winds with this storm. And I'm going to guess, we are still just taking it here. And we are back here into the interior portion of this storm. So just think that you've got, if you live out here, and I'll put a track on it, or Sarah will put another track on this. And then I'm going to tell you that you've got at least 10 to 15 minutes of this relentless wind that is over 60 miles an hour. All right, so we just got knocked off the air. We're still on air. We just lost our picture though. All right, so we're losing our picture. The wind is just coming down at just a ferocious pace right now. If you know anybody that is a tornado warning's going back off again, if the tornado warnings are going off in the city of Tyler, it's because we've got catastrophic wind damage occurring across the area. So if you're listening to us, all right, so let's go. Sarah, is your mic on?
I believe, nope.
Okay.
I can just tell you when they
Okay. Please tell me.
Radio operators from National Weather Service chat. Estimated wind gusts of 40 plus miles per hour is what's coming in, and they're receiving multiple reports of straight line wind damage. Straight
line wind damage. All right, so we're getting straight line wind damage in the city of Tyler off of this cell. I would think stronger than what their gusts were saying. Those wind gusts are, just looking at our radar. Again, we sampled 74 to 83. That's elevated, but you got to think that you're transferring that energy, and through that downward transfer of energy, you do lose a little bit of speed. But you got to think that there's also a possibility that we could have had a couple of wind gusts close to 80 miles an hour. So right here, Troop, anywhere along the leading edge of this. So Troop, Kilgore, Turnertown, Joinerville, Lakeport, or Henderson, you could be experiencing up to 80-mile-an-hour winds. I'm going to say that just based on that radar signature and what we've seen so far. The storm has just been, and it is relentless. It goes on for now almost 15 consecutive minutes of winds like this. So we have straight line wind damage in the city of Tyler and in Smith County, and we are going to continue to see this as it moves southeastward toward Kilgore, Troop, and toward Henderson, okay? So I would treat this as a tornado warning. Treat it as a tornado warning. Move to the most interior portion of your house that you can and stay there, stay away from windows. The wind could blow the windows out. It's certainly nothing that we haven't seen before. It can happen. And on top of that, the heavy, heavy rainfall that we're seeing, and that really, the rain is just helping to bring down some of that colder air. And then there is that was the old tornado warning in Van Zandt County. So it looks like that's an old piece of data that has popped back up. But that's what prompted us to come on air originally, was a tornado warning in Van Zandt County. And then that cell here, so that cell merged into this whole cluster of showers and thunderstorms. And then the severe thunderstorm warned portion of the storm, Lindale to Winona, with radar indicated 60-mile-an-hour winds, then picked up additional steam, and we saw the colder air behind it create what we call the cold pool, and then an area of low pressure form to the northeast, area of low pressure down here. And so now that created almost like a low-level jet situation, where the low-level jet probably also got kicked in here this evening, and so the winds became enhanced and started looking at 70, 80 miles an hour. So, and that's toward Browning, that is out toward White House right now, and now pushing into Bullard. There's likely going to be, Sarah, let's look at the winds down toward Bullard. I would imagine this is pushing, kind of just spreading out in all directions with the wind speeds. And the strongest wind right there, boy, my goodness. That's almost as high as I've seen that in terms of the reflectivity that comes back from our radar image. So again, 93 mile an hour winds, okay? So that could be a 93 mile an hour wind. Let's just conservatively estimate that that's possible. Even if we took 15 miles off of this, still 78 miles an hour. So there is going to be damage. Can we zoom in on that area? So let's just think about that. That could be a 93 mile an hour wind between Chapel Hill and on Highway 31. And we just had the severe thunderstorm warning extended until 9 p.m. This is County Road 26. There's Farm to Market 2767. So it's right in that area, just to the north of New Chapel Hill. So hopefully you are treating this as a tornado warning, even though it is a severe thunderstorm warning. But severe thunderstorms can produce wind speeds that can be as strong as a small tornado or an EF1 tornado. And this may be the case we have here tonight with a 93 mile an hour wind being sampled by our radar. And it does pretty well. But again, at that point where it's coming from out of Shreveport, it's looking at about 6,000 feet in the surface. So sometimes there can be stronger winds there. But just the way things are going here tonight, it feels like we are continuing to get just some really strong winds. Any chance we could flip back over to our CBS19 studio camera? I don't know what we can, it looks like the other camera is frozen. That looks like that just basically, okay. And it's updated? Okay, so we're gonna take a look outside here. Again, remember, it's straight. I mean, look at the way the winds are just blowing. And again, this is not this part of the storm is not the leading edge of the storm. This is going to be back at Loop 323 and Troop Highway, and there's just so much rain loading up and is being forced out. The winds are just blowing west to east, or I should say just in a straight line form at this time. So trees are going to get knocked down, roofs could get peeled off. We're going to continue to see damage, power outages across the area. I mean, this is really turning into a really bad situation here in the city of Tyler tonight with another storm. And yes.
Getting word in from our newsroom that the sirens are going off in the city of Tyler.
That's what I thought. I thought I could hear them.
Yeah, and we currently don't have a tornado warning in place in Tyler, but most likely it's for these gusty winds that Brett has just been talking about.
Yes, you know, and that's the right of the emergency manager. If you see it, that they can be that strong if they're. And I was just looking to see if they put a catastrophic tag on this, if the National Weather Service did. If not, I would hope that they have, because Now there's the reports 2 miles north of Tyler. When it was north of Tyler, they were getting 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts, but we know this has strengthened since it moved to the south. So yeah, tornado sirens off, outdoor warning sirens being sounded for a storm that has hurricane strength winds, if not a little bit stronger than that. I think what we need to probably do is just keep everybody out ahead of it, sort of apprised of when you're going to get into it. So Overton is up next, and it may be approaching Overton right now. Boy, it looks like there's all kinds of just wind, even in the middle part of that storm down toward White House. White House, there may be, I think there'll be some wind damage down at White House. Overton, Wright City. So let's see the times there. It looks like 8:30 for Overton, Wright City 8:34, Turnertown 8:38, Joinerville at 8:44, and if that holds together, it may make it all the way to Henderson at 8:57. By the way, Cherokee County was added into the severe thunderstorm watch until 9 o'clock, and Rusk County had already been in the severe thunderstorm watch until 8 p.m., but that was extended until 9 o'clock and expanded farther south, so that what we have now here, we're looking at storm relative with the severe thunderstorm watch over top of it. So that goes all the way down to Nacogdoches County, Shelby County, San Augustine, Sabine, and Angelina County, and that goes until 9 o'clock tonight. And again, this looking at the way these winds are, and it's about 8:15, so this will probably get extended, or extended maybe till 10 o'clock tonight until we get all those storms out of there. All right, so we're looking at storm relative velocity, and of course we've taken the movement of the storms out, so we're just looking at the wind itself. Meteorologist Sarah Blue has been sampling some of the wind gusts in there, and Sarah, some of those bins are coming back with 93 mile an hour wind gusts.
Exactly, Brett. That's higher than a hurricane's, and that's definitely possible out of this storm. We're seeing lots and lots of gusty winds. We were hearing the sirens outside a little bit ago in Tyler. Most of that is going to be for those strong wind gusts. For our reports, we've seen them coming in between 60 to 70 miles per hour, anywhere between 50 to 40 in some areas as well. So this is a good idea to treat this as a tornado warning, because winds this strong can shatter your windows or can knock down trees, which could impact, it could be felled into a house, or it really impact power lines. You may have lost power out there. We lost power briefly here at the CBS19 studio. But otherwise, this is currently coming out of a severe thunderstorm warning. That includes Tyler, Lindale, Winona. It looks like it includes New Harmony as well, Mineola, Hawkins. But really out here toward the south, toward White House, Noonday, Browning, Overton, you guys are just on the edge of that severe thunderstorm warning. That's going to be where we're seeing the most intense winds. So as this continues to move out to the south, you can see it is just really trekking as it's moving out to the south-southeast. I'm going to put it back in now. It was moving at about, I believe, 20 miles an hour, Brett?
It was 25,
25.
When it was closer to Interstate 20. I'm sure now, with the influence of that rear inflow jet, that it is probably picked up forward speed. By the way, the National Weather Service now saying they're extending the severe thunderstorm warning, and they're putting a 70 mile an hour tag on it.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I think they're starting to realize what we've got here.
Yes, this is definitely a very strong, impactful event, mainly because of those gusty winds. But we throw a track on that. Overton, you guys are next. You have about 5 minutes until that's going to reach you. Remember, it takes 7 minutes from the time the radar gets ingested into our system, from the time that our TV signal can reach you. So there could be a bit of delay from the time that you're seeing this. So if you're anywhere to the southeast of White House, Browning, so Overton, Turnertown, Henderson, New Prosper, Chapman, make sure that you are staying weather aware. And it's not a bad idea to go to the most interior room in your building that way you're away from any windows in case they shatter. So I'm going to timeline it out. Overton, 8:27, New London, about 8:34, Turnertown, around 8:37, Henderson, about 8:36, New Prosper, right around 9 o'clock, and then Chapman, if it holds, right around 9:15. So Lots of gusty winds out of this. I'm going to switch back to our storm relative velocity. You can just see where we're seeing those bright reds where it looks almost white. That's where we're tracking really gusty winds. I'm going to go ahead and sample this so we can get another track of what might be happening out there. But we have received reports of 70-mile-per-hour winds, and Brett was just saying that we got a report in saying that this watch could contain 70-mile-an-hour winds. So that is definitely something that is very, very possible out of this storm.
Yeah, the National Weather Service says they have an automated surface observation site that picked up a 70-mile-an-hour gust in Smith County. So that has been now confirmed that we've got at least those 70-mile-an-hour winds with that. Oh, wow. Yeah, and now I'm getting power outage reports from, say, the Andy Woods neighborhood. So there's Encore is aware of power outages there. So yeah, there's power outages again. And you know, some folks just got their power back on, Sarah, and here we go again with the power possibly being knocked back out. And that's just, you know, people just losing food, losing, you know, power, losing all kinds of things. You know, they don't want to lose their life. Everything else could be replaced. Now, just getting a ham radio report from New Harmony of 47 miles an hour. So if it's that speed right now, I'm going to guess that it's going to get stronger. It does look like the winds have maybe let up just a little bit, but let's put a new track on this area here from west of Longview down to Troop. And this will be, it's just now moved into Gregg County. Gregg County is currently not under a severe thunderstorm warning, but those winds are moving, sort of spreading out to the south toward northern Cherokee County, and then spreading into Gregg County right now. I feel like the strongest winds appear to be right here. Look at that little, we got to keep an eye on that notch there in case we get a quick spin up or something like that. So, yeah, Turnertown, that one is to the west of Turnertown. So again, as Sarah mentioned, as I've said, just treat this as a tornado warning. The sirens are going off because we have at least destructive winds. Severe thunderstorm warning with wind speeds of 70 miles an hour would be considered destructive winds, and the Weather Service has placed a tag on that in parts of Smith County and in Gregg County and into Rusk County. And I thought I heard another siren. The sirens are going again, or that is the
I think that sounds more like an ambulance or a police siren.
Oh,
okay, we're saying it's
getting
getting reports that it's an ambulance.
Okay. So Turnertown, 8:33, so that's in about 9 minutes. Longview, 8:43. Henderson at about 8:52. Easton around 9:06. Laneville, 9:10. And Beckville about 9:27. So anywhere in here and even behind that into the storm, there's the capability, and now we have a new severe thunderstorm warning, and they did include Gregg County for that. Anywhere behind that and into the interior part of that storm, that's what makes this kind of unusual. Leading edge, the winds may be a little bit weaker than they are right inside the core of the storm, where it's all that water is loaded up inside there. And of course, as that water falls, it pushes all that wind out with it, and then it creates these damaging wind gusts in excess of 70 miles an hour, maybe up to 80. I think at one point in our radar system, we had sampled the potential for a brief moment up to 90 miles an hour. We'll probably get a survey from the National Weather Service and see what they'll determine in the wind speeds out of that storm. All right, let's see what that new severe thunderstorm warning is. I'm sure it's the one that is now going into Gregg County and all of Rusk. So we've added Cherokee, Gregg, Rusk, and Smith County until 9:30, all for this. And see how it's pushing this way, pushing east, pushing to the northeast. So all of this has the capability of producing a wind speed in excess of 70 miles an hour. So damaging thunderstorm winds tonight, and it is, you know, we were talking on the newscast, and I had a storm level threat of 2. Well, this exceeds that easily. This storm has really sort of manufactured upon itself as it was south and just to the east of Dallas, and then it started working its way southeast, and a lot of things came together for it to become a really destructive thunderstorm, and it's now starting to pick up even more speed. Sarah, it's just moved from Tyler down to southern Smith County here probably within the last 20 minutes, so it's starting to move forward over land pretty quick.
It is. It even looks like it's picking up speed. I'm going to throw it into motion here so you can just see how quickly this is bubbling up and starting to kind of become more organized as it heads toward Jacksonville and Henderson. Tyler, it looks like we're out of the worst of the winds at the moment, but we still need to be staying weather aware because we have that severe thunderstorm warning currently in place over parts of Smith County. And then that secondary severe thunderstorm warning, which is just out to the south for parts of Cherokee, Gregg, Rusk, and Smith. That's going to go until 9:30, so you have about an hour left on that. For the one in Smith County, Upshur, and parts of Wood County, that one is only going until 9, so about 30 minutes left on that. But as long as there is a warning in place, whether it's a tornado warning, which we do not have at the moment, or severe thunderstorm warning, which is what we're tracking, you need to make sure that you're staying weather aware, especially as these wind gusts are reaching 70, and we even sampled a 95-mile-per-hour wind gusts on our radar. When they're reaching that level, that is destructive level. So please make sure that you're staying away from any windows out there, Brett.
Yeah, absolutely. And the interior portion of your house, we do not need a tree falling into your house and you're in a bedroom or a front room watching the storm, and that tree, where is it going to first come? Right where you are sitting. So the interior portion of your house is always best, even in a tornado situation or in a severe thunderstorm situation like this. And this is sort of this is a unique severe thunderstorm situation in that we are looking at wind gusts that have exceeded hurricane strength with this. The automated surface observation site in Smith County picked up 70, but that's one spot. That doesn't mean that there weren't stronger winds. Just like we sampled that one spot up to 95 miles an hour, one spot, very possible. So, and there was a lot of wind that came through. And again, now it's moving into parts of Rusk County, into western Gregg County. It looks like it's even that warning goes all the way up into parts of Upshur County. But the winds that we have the most concern with are going to be right along this leading edge and then pushing southward. And then those pockets, what appears to be hail, that's really heavy rain. And so if there's a lot of rain, and of course that's a load of water, and it falls, what's it going to do? It's going to bring the wind down with it. If there's wind aloft inside that thunderstorm, it's going to create its own wind as it rushes and falls through gravity, and then that pushes out from the thunderstorm. Of course, it hits the surface and it spreads out. So let's go back outside, look at one of our cameras real fast here. Maybe we'll see an example of that. Still, winds are coming, I'd say here back in the city of Tyler, maybe 35, 40 miles an hour. So they have calmed down just a little bit, even though the severe thunderstorm warning continues here. But you can still see the way the rain is just kind of moving. This would be from north to south in just curtains of rain. So that rain is still falling at an enormously heavy rate, hitting the surface and then spreading out as it does. And the lightning behind it is also just incredible. So a lot of lightning in a thunderstorm tells us there's a lot of water in that thunderstorm, tells us the power of the updraft, and there's a lot of warm air. The dew point this afternoon when we were on the air at 5 o'clock was 77 degrees. We had one other storm that put us in a lot of trouble that had an equally as high dew point in the upper 70s. So anytime you have that amount of moisture in the atmosphere, where is that going to go? It's going to condense eventually. It is the fuel for thunderstorms. It can become raindrops. It can get ingested into a thunderstorm, and then it can be downloaded upon a town with some heavy gusty winds. All right, back to radar here tonight. And here we go into northern Rusk County, into northern Cherokee County. That severe thunderstorm warning goes until 9:30. Sarah, I don't want to leave anyone, and because we've got folks who live down in Henderson, Longview, and even into northern parts of Cherokee County and Jacksonville with these winds. If they're going in there at 70 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour, I mean, we'll have more destruction.
Exactly, and this is coming just as you mentioned a little bit earlier, Brett, where we've had so many storm events back to back. Many folks out there don't even have power, so our hearts of course go out to those that are impacted. But if you don't have power, I really hope that you have a battery pack with you, or a NOAA weather radio, or your cell phone. If you are watching on your cell phone and you don't have power, go ahead and turn on that low power mode. That way you can last a little bit longer. That will make your battery life be extended so you continue to get weather information. Also make sure that you have 2 ways to receive that weather information. Otherwise, we currently have that severe thunderstorm warning in place for parts of Cherokee, Gregg, Rusk, and Smith County. That's going to go until about 9:30. This is going to continue to push out to the southeast. I'm going to throw it in play again because just look how quickly this storm is really starting to bubble up and kind of bow out a little bit. I'm going to throw a track on it. Our last check, it was moving right around 20 to 30 miles an hour. So I'll time it out for you guys. If you're out in Henderson, Jacksonville, or out toward any of the areas in Cherokee, Rusk, or Smith County. Okay, so Turnertown, that'll get to you guys closer to 8:35, so it should be right on you right now. New Summerfield, a little bit closer to 9. Henderson, also a little bit closer to 9. Laneville, around 9:15. Pine Hill, right around 9:17. Carthage, around 9:30. And then Buckham, if you continue to head out that, if the storm holds as it heads out there, it's going to be around 9:40. So this is a very damaging wind gust situation. We were sampling them on our radar at about 95 miles per hour. And we've also seen confirmed reports that it was at around 70 miles per hour. That was recorded in Smith County. I've been watching the Longview 5-minute observations to see. It looks like we haven't seen any destructive wind gusts out there. So really the bulk of the wind is coming out of this southern region where it's starting to bow out toward Turnertown. And if we turn back into our velocity, you can see where we're seeing the bright reds just right in that line that's stretching toward Jacksonville and back toward Longview. Where we're seeing the brighter reds, the more white color, that's where we're tracking even stronger wind gusts. And I'm going to throw it back into just straight velocity. That way we're seeing it without any of the motion of the storm impacting it. And this line that's currently sitting right over Troop and heading just to the west of Kilgore, currently it's over Overton. This is that line that we're tracking that's bringing just destructive wind gusts. Make sure that if you are in there, I would recommend just going away from the windows. If you have an interior room, I think that that would be a good idea. It'll give you a little extra buffer in case a tree gets thrown into your home or the glass shatters due to this very gusty wind situation. That will help you stay safe. And I'd recommend staying there until the gustiest of the winds pass through or until that severe thunderstorm warning is out there. So if you're heading out on the roads, maybe to go ahead and go out to dinner on this Monday evening, I would recommend staying home, at least if you're under one of these severe thunderstorm warnings, because it is very wet on the roadways. That's not going to be safe to drive in. And with these damaging wind gusts, that could create very dangerous driving conditions. So if you're heading out on 79 between Jacksonville and Henderson, that storm is going to come right over you and it's going to get caught in the crosswinds. So wait until the storm passes by for that. If you're on 259 between Henderson and Kilgore, that's also an area that you want to wait until the storm passes by, as well as for areas south of Henderson on 259, stretching all the way back toward right around the time it intersects with 84. That's where we are still seeing that severe thunderstorm warning. Again, that is going to go all the way until 9:30. So very gusty winds, lots of rain, and a lot of lightning. So just even look, the lightning is starting to build toward the backside of this storm. Where we're seeing the brighter lightning strikes, that's where we're seeing the more recent strikes of lightning. But this is what we've seen just in the past 15 minutes. So it is certainly a very, very lightning-filled storm. I'm going to see if I can get a count on the amount of lightning that we've seen in this system. So this is for everything that's in that box. Lightning right around 1,500 strikes in the past 15 minutes. Very lightning heavy storm. Also lots of hail out of this. Here at our CBS19 studio, when that line passed over us, we were hearing it. It just was coming down so hard on the roof. It looks like our hail core has kind of diminished a little bit. It's coming in about marble-sized hail toward White House and just to the east of Big Sandy toward Gladewater at the moment. But really the big thing out of this is going to be those gusty winds, which is what we're tracking, Brett.
Yeah, and I'm going to go through a couple of Facebook questions. Someone wants to know about the Longview-Gilmer area. Let's give them an update. Just kind of we'll go down the line here on Longview. It looks like Longview's about to get into some of the heavier rain and wind. I'm not sure on the wind speed up at Longview. They are currently under the severe thunderstorm warning. It doesn't look to be the area where there would be the strongest winds. I don't like that little appendage out there toward Lakeport. Certainly there is a lot of inflow coming into the storm. In fact, this is going to be a weird request here. Can you just go to the debris tracker, the correlation coefficient? I don't know if see toward Longview. I was wondering. I wonder if there's some wind, some damage being aloft, not from a tornado, but just straight line wind damage being lofted here into the air. So like, twigs, things of that nature, maybe, a metal roof or something like that. So that blue, typically when we see that, especially wrapped around all of this. So all of this is rain, right? So what this does, debris tracker does, is it looks like It looks for objects of certain size, certain shapes, and it sorts them into these nice colors. All right, and then these brighter pinks are typically associated with rain, snowflakes, sometimes hail. We get into things like this, and these are usually non-meteorological targets and can be building materials, roofs, larger twigs, branch, something like that. So don't think there's a tornado. I don't think there's a tornado, but it does look like there might be a little bit of debris. In fact, well, if you go back to that radar or the reflectivity image, I know I was looking down toward Lakeport and there was that little ball right there. So yeah, there's something that I think is lofted into the air toward Longview. So it could be some wind damage of that nature. All right, so there was another question about, or another report here. This was no power and tree limbs down on South Tyler Old Bullard Road close to 323. Amber, appreciate that report. Then we're seeing lights flickering from Brandy Stanger saying that. And let's see, a lot of folks are, we really appreciate everybody watching here tonight. The wind was insane in Chandler and has been for 15 to 20 minutes. Let me see if I can get the latest for folks. We got just, we appreciate everybody who's tuning into our Facebook page here and our feed here tonight. Overton update. So can we get an Overton update and then maybe extend that out to Hallsville? So Overton is, it should be pushing into Overton right now. In fact, it should be right in here. I think it's probably already made it to Overton with the wind speeds. There it is. So Overton is in it. So hopefully the stronger winds are there, but you're going to continue in Overton to feel these winds for another 15 to 20 minutes. New Chapel Hill felt those same kind of winds, and you could see all the heavy rain that's coming with that and down toward Turnertown. As Sarah had pointed out, the concerning part was right in here, and it's already pushed through Turnertown. So Overton is in that. So now Henderson, you are up next for these very strong winds that could be in excess of 70 miles an hour. The Weather Service has said that they had some confirmed 70-mile-an-hour reports, so that is a possibility. Sarah, I just don't like, when I see a shape like that, even off of reflectivity, that really is concerning for that Boeing segment to produce really damaging winds. I mean, you know, we can probably verify it with velocity or storm relative, but, and I'm wondering too, are the traffic lights out in town?
Brett, I'm looking on our camera right now, and it appears that, gosh, I can't get a good visual on that control room. If that's something that you can check into to see if our traffic lights are on or off, that would be great. Thank you. But really, the big thing that we're tracking with this is damaging wind gusts. Just like Brett has been saying this whole time, this is coming in at a very damaging level. Make sure that you're staying away from windows, especially if you're out in Henderson, Lanesville, or even Jacksonville, as the storm is going to continue to push through your area. If you're out behind that line, it's not quite as concerning. It's still going to be a severe thunderstorm, but really the gustiest winds are right along this line where we're seeing the red meet the green. But back toward White House, definitely we're not seeing quite as gusty winds. Toward Tyler as well, we're kind of on the back end of the worst of this system. But we still have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect. I'm going to track our wind speed here, see if I can get a good look at what it might be gusting to near Henderson.
Yeah, it doesn't look as bright as it was. So maybe up here toward Kilgore, it looks a little bit stronger. So 28 miles an hour, 35. Yeah. So you know, it could be that the storm is starting to lose some of its strength. We still have that of course, definition of that very sharp line along the leading edge of that bow echo as it pushes toward Henderson. So, and it may be something where now we're sampling a different part of the storm. We're getting the data, of course, from the National Weather Service over in Shreveport. So that does not look as bad, but I can't be sure that we're definitely not seeing at least some severe thunderstorm strength winds of 58 miles an hour. So we still have that severe thunderstorm warning till 9 p.m. Smith, Wood, and Upshur County. Then it was extended till 9:30 for Cherokee, Gregg, Rusk, and Smith County. And over here toward Kilgore, there's going to be, that looks like there's some pretty strong winds up toward Gladewater also, and over here toward Longview. So there may be the winds at this point, this whole thing is just sort of fanning out. Pushed south, fanned out. There could be a little bit loss of wind strength toward Overton and over toward Kilgore. but the velocities there are still approaching 50 miles an hour. And is this going to be the one up toward Gladewater?
Yeah, that's the top one.
So the wind likely pushing out as it fans out. We're probably getting stronger winds north, and then those strongest winds now down to the south. So Gladewater's probably getting up close to 55 mile an hour winds, and it's going to go up 259 away from Longview. So maybe start at the top, Sarah, and just sort of pan down and just look at some of the brighter greens inside there. So White Oak, East Mountain, I would imagine 55 to 60 mile an hour winds there. Down toward Kilgore, some gusty winds. Leading edge here into Lakeport along 322. We'll go a little bit farther south. It looks like the worst of the winds have passed over Overton. Past Overton, 259 highway down to Turnertown, which was one of those areas we were watching. And then we get down into Troop, southwest of Overton, across Troop Highway toward Highway 42, or Texas 42, and it looks like there may be still some stronger winds embedded within that flow there. So this does not look as bad as it did earlier, but I bet you there's still some strong wind gusts inside that cell at this point. Can we go back to reflectivity?
Yes.
Okay. We'll look at reflectivity. It'll give us sort of an idea. So Jacksonville, you're going to get into, I think there's going to be some pretty strong gusty winds even into Jacksonville. But Sarah, wouldn't you agree right here into Henderson? This looks to be about the I'm going to say the most evilest part of right now. That looks like
Brett.
where we could have, where the winds are bulging out. So the rear inflow jet is pushing the winds here. We take those rear inflow winds and we push those to the surface. And that's what creates this bulge or this bubble. It forces the rain out. Notice how far away it is from the lightning. So this is likely all that rain getting pushed out. This announces the arrival, and then the leading gust, and then I'm going to guess that we get into the strongest winds all the way back into the core here where this heavy rain is falling. And that heavy rain is falling at such a rate that's also creating just blinding wind or blinding rain thanks to the wind gusts that are exceeding 55 to 60 miles an hour. So yeah, I think we could have the potential to see wind damage even behind the leading edge out of this. And of course, we continue to see our Titan indicator indicate that we could have some rotation. That's certainly not out of the question. I mean, you're talking about winds that are descending, then they're going to have frictional forces involved. They're going to have other winds. They're going to swirl a bit. I mean, we see that all the time. So I would not really be super concerned about what we're seeing with our Titan indicator right now. That would indicate maybe about a 2.5 to a 5 in terms of rotation. Probably a lower end tornado threat, straight line threat, of course, straight line wind threat, of course, here, 100% on this as it moves now into parts of central Rusk County, into eastern Gregg County, starts to move deeper into Cherokee County, and now is approaching the city of Henderson. Henderson, pretty good. The folks in Rusk County, pretty good about reporting what they see, what they experience. So I'm sure that Michael Searcy and Patrick Dooley over there will be in the chat room telling us soon. All right, just got a report here too from National Weather Service employee whose parents have live in Tyler, and they have multiple trees in their yard in their neighborhood in South Tyler. This is going to be near South Broadway and West Grande Boulevard. So there's that neighborhood over there. I think that's just going to be, what is that, east of Holly Tree, right there by, so there's, I'm trying to think of like, right at that, where Rose Rudman comes out. So right in that area there, the neighborhoods around there, and also that neighborhood that goes back behind that. If you had Grande coming this way and Broadway, there's a neighborhood back here, and I think that's probably going to be, there's Shiloh, so a little farther south. So it's probably maybe right in here. Yeah, so we had a lot of, that was right where we had a ton of wind come through. I think that's one of those areas that we sampled that was close to 70 to 90 mile an hour winds. That was sitting right there on the southeast side of town because that had come over top of the TV station. So look at all these lightning strikes, just a ton of lightning with this storm. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning goes until 9:30 for all of those counties that include Cherokee County, Rusk County. I believe Panola County was added into that. Certainly Gregg County was in that severe thunderstorm warning, at least till 9 o'clock for many, and Smith County looks like it's going to come on out of this warning here soon. They'll likely allow this to expire at 9 o'clock, and then the other severe thunderstorm warning goes till 9:30. So as long as there is the wind threat, we will stay on, and talk about that wind threat and keep you protected from these strong and potentially damaging winds. And right now, those winds are moving into the city of Henderson. Sarah, let's zoom in on Henderson. I mean, go right down to street level here and give folks an idea of what we're talking about. Look, the winds are right there on Main Street in downtown Henderson. College Avenue would be up next. It looks like it moved across the loop. 157, there's the Henderson-Rusk County line. County Road 4170. Maybe this is, I think this is probably the airport, not the county line, it's the airport. Loop 571, West Main Street, Farm to Market Road 3310. So that's next. Again, there may be a little bit of delay between that, the radar, and it depends on what you're watching. If you're watching over the air, you're getting a signal that's coming back a little bit sooner. If you watch on, say, a streaming device, there's a little bit of a delay there between the time your streaming service gets our signal and that comes out to you. So there may already be, it's in your neighborhood in Henderson, even though we're talking about it approaching. For instance, it could be at College Avenue already. But so just know that there are some very strong winds headed into the city of Henderson right now. FM 28 or 258 south and FM 3310, and then also Highway 79 leaving. Now see how it just jumped ahead. So so we're getting the storm. It's again, I'm just amazed at the speed at which the storm is moving. What are the rotating areas, high winds or tornado rotation? All right, Michael, thank you for that question. When you see those rotating markers, so that indicates an area of rotation within our storm. We'll zoom out and show you here in just a second. Appreciate your question. So if it's green, it's weak rotation within the storm. If you see yellow, see this is weak rotation back here at Athens, and sometimes it'll show up behind the storm. When you see yellow, it's a little bit stronger, but not to be too concerned. When it gets into that orange category, so we start to become concerned there because now the level of rotation, it's assigned a scale from 1 to 10 in 2.5 increments. So 0 to 2.5 would be green. We go 2.6 to 5 in yellow, 5.1 to 7.5 is orange. Then when it gets to 10, it flips over to what we call a tornado vortex signature, and we get a little tornado marker on our map. And we've not seen any of those here tonight. So we look at these as a gauge as to where there are areas of rotation. We certainly don't rely on those as telling us there is indeed rotation, but we'll notice that there is sometimes a correlation very close. Sometimes it's a little bit to the north or south of that, but it's very close. And then what we do, and there's a mathematical equation that goes along with this, so we click on that, and then it derives, looking at the storms and the wind and the rainfall rate, then it derives certain threat levels. So what's the wind threat level? What is the hail threat level? What's the tornado threat level? Which direction is the storm moving? What's the chance that it's got severe hail inside that storm? So we can tell a whole bunch of things using what we call the Titan indicator. So it's a good tool, but it's just that, it's a tool for us. Odd shape to this severe thunderstorm warning, not so odd, but if you think about it, usually you see like nice polygons, rectangles. This one, for this severe thunderstorm warning, it goes until 9:30 for Harrison County and that little sliver of Panola County, a large portion of Rusk County back into Cherokee County. Notice how it has sort of this many-cornered approach. So the radar operator in Shreveport is looking at the potential for winds this way, and they do. Sometimes you can't just look straight ahead. You have to think about a storm's fanning out. So the wind threat exists to the south, the wind threat exists to the southeast, the wind threat can also exist up to the northeast. So this is why you have this very large area currently under a severe thunderstorm warning until 9:30. With our biggest threat right now on these leading edges here, just past Longview, so eastern Gregg County into western Harrison County, right on down into northern Rusk County. So in fact, let's zoom in and maybe let's walk down the line here from Longview. So there's Tatum. Tatum, you're gonna have those winds coming in soon here. So Lakeport just had the strong winds. So this little part of Gregg County is still included in that. Tatum, there's Darko just outside of that, but you're going to get the winds. Henderson is getting it right now, Pine Hill. Anywhere between Henderson and Lakeport on any of those little county roads and out in the county of eastern parts of Rusk County, you can have some very strong winds also in excess of 70 miles an hour. Then we come down toward Laneville. I did get a question about Laneville in our Facebook chat. So Laneville, get ready for perhaps 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. Pleasant Grove is experiencing them right now. New Summerfield, Blackjack, all the way down toward Glen Fawn, Recklaw, and soon Mount Enterprise. Also had a question about Mount Enterprise. I would say Mount Enterprise probably has, we could track this and see how long it takes to get down to Mount Enterprise. Probably going to be in the order of about maybe another hour or so. Christina, thanks. Appreciate you watching. Leslie, thank you for watching. Laura wants to know, is she okay in New London? Right, I would, if I were you, Laura, and again, it's not a tornado warning, but we've noticed some winds in here at about 70 miles an hour. You're going to be okay, but I would just maybe go to the most interior room of your house and kind of make sure you just all hang out there until this storm passes overhead. And you'll know the winds will subside pretty quickly once that storm goes by. Let's see, we got a report of flooding in White House. A lot of lightning flashes at Meadowbrook Golf Course area of Kilgore. That would make sense. And let's see. Michael wanted to know about the rotating arrows. They were for high winds. They were just rotation. And I went through all that. Anything for Dewberry? I think Dewberry might, and Carthage. So we can, you're farther down the line in those areas. Dewberry, you'll have to, I think if the storm gets there, it's not going to be as strong. I say that hesitantly just because this storm really picked up a lot of speed as it moved into parts of Smith County. Let's see. Is there anything on Dewberry or Hallsville out in Harrison County? There's Hallsville.
No, I'm not seeing anything. Just a couple of run-of-the-mill thunderstorms. You are currently under it looks like a flash flood warning. That's going to go until 9:15. So if you're out in Dewberry or in Tatum, Marshall, or Waxham, make sure that you are being very careful because that means that there's a very high likelihood that there's standing water on the roadways. Just a little bit over the state line in Louisiana, we've heard reports of water rescue involving 4 cars. So again, that's not here in East Texas. It's just over the state line, but that's just showing how much rain is coming out of the system.
Yeah, and just had a report here from Sky Warren in Smith County. Multiple reports of rotation on Wolf Lane near ARP, but train spotter visualized no rotation, only straight-lined winds. Which can be kind of confusing when you see a lot of swirling winds coming out of a thunderstorm, and you're wondering, you know, what am I seeing there? And especially now that we're past sunset, so it's kind of harder to even see what we're looking at. So it would almost take a flash of lightning to get a look at something.
Exactly, Brett. And we have a look at our Kilgore cam right now. It's kind of calmed down out there a little bit, but kind of a very brilliant lightning display keeps going on. We've heard reports of lightning starting to pass or to ramp up in that area. But watch out if you are headed out on the roadways, very slick. We haven't seen flooding in this camera on Kilgore yet, but we have seen reports of flooding in areas. I'm getting a report in from a ham radio operator. Multiple homes were reported to be flooded on Tower Road east of Loop 323 in Tyler. So watch out.
Again?
It's on Tower Road east of Loop 323 in Tyler.
And that's flooding into homes?
Yes.
Okay, just make sure that somebody in our newsroom knows that. So
that's in Tyler. So we should be getting on the backside of the worst of this storm, but we are tracking a little bit of a second wave here that's currently toward Van Canton, stretching out toward Mineola. This one is not severe warned, but we are still tracking that very gusty winds, not quite as gusty as the leading edge of this storm, but still watch out. You could get another round of a little bit of intense storm that's going to come out of this.
yeah, that certainly won't ease anybody. I mean, it's not going to help because it's just going to accentuate any kind of flooding that's going on top of that if we don't even have winds again. Looks like that rotation's picked up a little bit, but again, I don't think it's too concerning where it is location of that storm currently. So yeah, that heavier thunderstorm up here, is this what you were particularly talking about in Canton, and it's moving southeastward? Yeah, toward Mineola. Wow, that's not going to help. Wow, not at all, especially with power crews trying to get out to restore power, and then you have more lightning. They can't work in lightning. That's just simply too dangerous for the crews to do that. So if you lost power Hopefully you have maybe a backup generator or a place to stay, because it's going to be another warm and humid night. By the way, one of the things that we often tell you to do is when we have situations like this where we're on continuously, you can listen to us. If you did lose power and you have like your cell phone and maybe that's kind of going down on power, you have maybe some batteries in a radio, you can listen to our coverage on one of our Alpha Media radio partners. That's Jack 106.5 Jack FM. It's also going to be 105.7 The Ranch, or Kicks, I should say, Kicks 105.7, and then 104.1 The Ranch, and then La Emisora 96.7. So any of those outlets, you can listen to our coverage. And then we also always suggest having your, that's why we say have your CBS19 mobile app. You can watch us on the stream. We're streaming right now. We're on Facebook right now, and we are on our YouTube channel. So we're trying to cover this with as many bases as possible, and on air, of course, because this became a destructive thunderstorm as the winds picked up and increased closer to 70 miles an hour. So where is that part of the storm now that has those strongest winds? Well, it's moved out toward Henderson. Sarah has that latest track on it there that you can see. It's headed toward Pine Hill, McKnight, Glen Fawn, Cushing, and Dotson. And Cushing had a heavier rainfall last night. I heard from Dennis down at Cushing giving us that rainfall report. Michael Searcy said it was probably a 70 to 80 mile an hour peak in Rusk County. So we're still getting strong winds, Sarah.
Exactly, Brett. I just got word in from the National Weather Service that we're going to get another warning issued pretty soon for Panola County as the storm continues to push through. So make sure that if you're in Panola County that you are just getting ready to potentially stay away from your windows as this moves through. We're also getting reports of some power outages in Gladewater in Upshur County. That's along East Lake Drive. Here in South Tyler near CBS19 near our studio, we were looking outside and we've seen lots of power outages out there. So you may lose power as the storm passes through. That's why you need to make sure that if you have your NOAA weather radio and you're out ahead of these storms out toward Pine Hill, Dotson, Cushings, McKnight, you're kind of getting in the leading edge of that storm right now, that you are having two ways to receive weather information, and one of them is, at least one of them, if not both of them, are battery powered. So phone is a good one, radio, whether that's a NOAA weather radio like Brett was talking about, or you just have a standard radio. We're streaming simultaneously with our radio partners. That way you can still get the most up-to-date weather information as this passes through. I'm going to go ahead and throw a new track on this because our track has since expired as the storm continues to push out to the southeast. So we'll get a timeline there for you. It is moving right around 20 to 25 miles per hour. So if you're out in Tatum, it should reach you in the next couple minutes or so toward Beckville. That's going to get very quickly. Dodson, we're checking around 9:15. Carthage, that should reach you closer to 9:23. Gary City and Timpson, that's going to get to you very quickly, as well as Candalonia as well. This is going to continue to push out very quickly. We've seen wind gusts at most of 95 miles per hour from our radar, so this is not something to take lightly. It does appear that it's losing steam just a little bit, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't whip back up very quickly here. So I'll check a look at how quickly our wind is moving here. So where we're seeing the brighter reds and the brighter greens, this is what we're seeing with higher wind gusts. So out toward Henderson, between Henderson and Pineville, some very gusty winds, as well as out toward Lakeport and toward Gladewater as well. We're tracking those very gusty winds, Brett.
Yes, we just had, again, that was estimated peak in Rusk County of 70 to 80. And yeah, we can't discount what's happening up north toward Gladewater. That is the other end, kind of toward the other part of the bow where the bookend low pressure area would have formed. So that could be creating some very strong winds in addition to the bowing segment and then across the southern part of the storm. So back in here toward Jacksonville, some strong winds possible right here on the apex of the bow, and then up here where there was likely at least some rotation, but perhaps maybe not caused, the rotation did not cause damage, but the winds would also be very strong coming from the center of the storm out to the northeast, and of course they're being wrapped back inside the storm. And then again to the south, the outflows coming here, it's wrapping back inside the storm. It really becomes its own self-sufficient engine. And as long as it can have somewhere to ingest an inflow of warm, moist air, this whole thing will continue to push to the southeast. So it's worked its way from Wood County all the way out in Van Zandt, Henderson County. Now it's moved across Smith County. Now it's moving across parts of Henderson, or Rusk County, I should say. Now it's moving into Panola County, Harrison County, and then eventually we'll see if it can make it all the way down into Shelby County, though it does look like this southern end not seeing as much lightning, so perhaps the strongest part of the storm is going to be north of Henderson, up toward Tatum, up toward Marshall, where we had the reports of power outage at Gladewater up here, northern parts of Gregg County. Just a ton of lightning right now and heavy rainfall. So flash flooding is another part of this storm. There's a flash flood warning for Smith County that goes until 11 o'clock tonight. Flash flood warning in Marshall and in Harrison County and a part of Marion County, I think, until 10 o'clock tonight. So flash flood warning, here it goes, a new severe thunderstorm warning until 10 p.m. now, and that will include Harrison County, and then that is going to also include Nacogdoches County and also include Shelby County and then Panola County. So that they're looking at, this is sharpened up, Sarah, as you mentioned. And again, they were reporting in Rusk County 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. It peaked, so it's probably peaking right there into western parts of Panola County. So it looks like we could have another damaging burst of wind coming into parts of Panola County right now. So if you're in a house, an apartment, treat this like a tornado warning. This is, even though it's a severe thunderstorm warning, this is a situation where if a tree gets knocked over, it falls into your house. You do not want to be in a doorway, watching it from a window, anywhere close to where that part of the house could fall on you. You want to be in the middle part of the house where you are sort of protected by many walls and maybe even in an interior room until the storm passes. It does take about a half hour for the heavy rain and wind to get to your location before the wind begins to lighten up. So we had about a half hour of winds that were anywhere from 60 miles an hour in Tyler up to perhaps as high as 90 or 95 miles an hour wind. Just straight line wind. But it continued. It was like getting battered by a hurricane, but of course not for 12 hours, for only a half hour, but still we're hearing reports of damage, flooding in the city of Tyler, homes flooded, trees down across the area, and so there's just a lot to take in and still warn folks about. So Sarah, let's put a new track on this, so give everybody in Panola County a chance to get out ahead of this storm. If you're watching us on from Panola County or watching us on Facebook, again, that storm has been picking up some forward speed. We're thinking about 25 miles an hour. It could be a little bit quicker than that, but that's been the average speed so far tonight. Beckville, 908. So that's in about 5 minutes. If you live in Beckville, you're going to get these strong winds coming into Beckville. Dotson, you've got about 10 minutes before it gets there. Carthage, on farther downstream, you've got about 20 minutes. Caledonia 29, Arlem about 9:42, Timpson around 9:46, and then Wascom right before 10 o'clock. And so Wascom is actually just outside or just on the edge of the severe warning that is out until 10 p.m. So we continue to watch this leading edge here. In fact, if we just kind of zoom in here, we may be able to pick out some county roads and towns here where, so for instance, Tatum's right now getting the brunt of the wind. So if you live in Tatum, if you're on Facebook, if you can let us know what you're experiencing safely. I don't want you to go outside and do that, but it's just like kind of what you're experiencing, what you're seeing, what you're hearing. We can relay that to folks. It's not that far from Carthage now. It's only about 10 miles from Carthage. Beckville is just a couple of miles. It looks like it's also moved into Pine Hill at this time with the wind. Tina Beard wanted to know, she was talking about somebody wanted to know if there was any damage. We've had certainly a lot of reports of damage around the area. So, yes, Sarah.
Hey, Brett, I'm getting word in from our control room. We're getting a notice from county officials, or I should say city officials in Tyler. They're asking all residents to stay off the road. I'm just reading it off of my phone. They're saying, quote, avoid all non-essential travel due to the storms or due to this weather. And we are receiving lots of reports of power outages and flooding out of the storm, so make sure that you're staying careful. I was seeing some questions on Facebook about Marion County, I should say, specifically. visually. So I'm going to go up here and take a look at you guys. So you are currently under a flash flood warning, but not necessarily anything that denotes a severe thunderstorm warning. So heavy rainfall is going to come through, and watch out for standing water on the roadways. But really, the heaviest storm activity is already passing to your south. And if you look up to the northeast, so Marin County, you guys are just going to slowly start to see the rain be less intense, and we're not tracking anything upstream from that area. However, this big Boeing segment is what we're really concerned about toward Dodson, toward Bexville, toward Arlem. I'm going to go ahead and throw a new track on that, because it looks like we've gotten updated information in from our radar. We got a new scan. So if we can just time this out, give you a little bit of leeway, that way you can potentially get to your safe place. Yet if the winds are coming in strong enough that they could shatter some windows or really down some trees or power lines, so that's really not good. We're getting a new in from the National Weather Service. A flash flood warning will be incoming for Gregg County, Southern Smith County, and Cherokee County, and for Rusk County. So watch out for standing water in that area. I'm going to go ahead and time out the Boeing segment. So the gustiest winds are going to be as the storm continues to push out to the southeast. So Dodson, that's going to be right on you pretty soon. You have about 5 minutes on that. Mount Enterprise closer to 9:15. Carthage right around 9:30. Arlem around 9:35. Timpson around 9:45. Tenaya, that's going to be closer to 9:50, and if you're out toward Fizz, that's going to be toward 10. So remember, the gustiest winds are going to be where we're starting to see this little Boeing segment just to the north of Dodson. I'll zoom in on it so you can get a better look. That's where we're seeing just to the east of where we're seeing that purple color on the radar. That's where we're seeing it kind of bubble out a little bit to the east. That's where it's going to be very gusty. Now, we have seen from the National Weather Service a recorded wind gust of 70 miles per hour. But based off our radar estimates, it could be even higher than that. So that's coming in right around the force of a hurricane level wind. Make sure that you're staying very weather aware with this. Now, we were seeing lots of hail out of this earlier. I don't think we're necessarily seeing any large hail cores. A couple of marble-sized hail stones falling to the east of Henderson and to the west of Tatum in that little corridor between Tatum, Henderson, and Longview. That's where we're seeing the severe thunderstorm warnings overlap. But really, gusty winds are our big concern. We can get a better look at the gusty winds here if we look at our storm relative velocity. This is just telling us what direction the winds are going. So if you see the red versus the green, that doesn't necessarily mean that green is good and red is bad. That's not what that means. We're just tracking the strength of the wind and which direction it's going. So red is going away from the radar site, green is going toward. And where we're seeing the brighter colors south of Henderson and east of Laneville, like those bright whitish reds, is where we're tracking the strongest wind gusts. So that's just to the west of Pine Hill right now, and out toward Kilgore, Longview, also some very gusty winds where we're seeing the brighter greens. It looks like just to the north of Lindale, winds are starting to pick up a little bit as well. So watch out for gusty winds with this. When you're heading out tomorrow morning, there will likely be some downed trees and potentially some downed power lines on the roads. If you see a downed power line, be very careful. Please do not touch it. Treat it like a live wire, because there could still be some could still be some electricity in that as it's coming through, and that could be very dangerous. But once again, we have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in place. That's for Cherokee County, Gregg County, and Rusk County, and parts of Smith County. That's going to go until 9:30, so about 20 minutes left on that. And then a secondary severe thunderstorm warning that is going for Harrison, Panola, and Rusk County, as well as a little bit into Louisiana. That one is going to go until about 10. So very gusty winds out of this. That's going to be our main concern. But also, once you get out of the gusty winds, you're going to be hit with very heavy rain. So watch out for standing water on the roadways. We've already seen reports of some damaging or some flooding out there. So please make sure that you're staying careful, right, Brett?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, I just want to go through a couple of Facebook comments. So David Black is currently under the covered gas pumps at the Loves in Winona. Any update when he should be able to get back on Interstate 20? So has it cleared out of Winona yet? It doesn't look like it's totally out of Winona yet. It looks like there's still that heavy thunderstorm back toward Lindale. So I think that heavier thunderstorm back toward Lindale probably takes another, let's say, hour to get through there.
If I could potentially track it, I would assume that this is moving close to what our other storm system is moving. Actually, I can look at our Titan indicator here and get a little look at it to see
Yeah, it
how
looks like
quickly it's moving.
the updraft's increased in that a little bit. New London out of power. It's been bad here, says Leanne Norman. Leanne, appreciate it. Please be safe there tonight. Tony Barton was in the Chapman community on Carthage Highway. She says it's scary out there. And then, let's see, we had a report from Carissa who said that the storm blew into Henderson hard. She's by the Star, down 79 towards Carthage. Power is out and it's still blowing pretty hard. That was a few minutes ago. So hopefully that is starting to let up just a little bit. Any word on when David may be able to be safe to move from where he is?
All right, so if he's in Winona, that looks like that secondary storm system will be coming through right around 9:30. That's when you get the leading edge of that secondary storm system. So I would recommend just waiting it out, because if you're going to head out, I believe David was heading on 80. So make sure it's just going to be very gusty and windy out there. I'd recommend waiting until this comes out, until it passes you by. So that'll give you maybe 15 to 30 minutes until that passes by Winona, and then you should be better to go. But otherwise, gusty winds and even some hail are coming out of the system as they push out to the south.
All right, so just this is unconfirmed, but they were talking about 65,000 people potentially without power in Smith County from this storm tonight. So that is a lot. We had over 100,000 across the area last Tuesday. And so this is about half that in the space of a very small period of time. Let's take a look at the flash flood warning, where that current flash flood warning is in effect. That is going to be until, let's see, this just got issued. This looks like this is the southern end of Rusk County, Panola County, now Cherokee County in a flash flood warning. Likely till about 11 o'clock. We have severe thunderstorm warnings that supersede the flash flood warning. So with that in mind, this likely goes probably another hour to hour and a half later than the severe thunderstorm warning. And the severe thunderstorm warning, as you'll note, has been extended down into Nacogdoches. And notice how far out ahead this severe thunderstorm warning is in anticipation of the storm. I think a couple of reasons here. The forward speed now of the storm is moving faster, and also time to prep for potentially 70 to 80 mile an hour winds. When the storm went through Henderson, parts of Rusk County, that's what they reported, but I would suspect that that part, the strongest part of the winds right now, are going to be moving into Carthage any moment. And Mount Enterprise, you should be experiencing some very strong 60 to 70 mile an hour winds here within the next couple of minutes. And then on the southwestern flank of this storm, as it tries to move into eastern Cherokee County, there could also be some very strong winds. So this is the latest track here. Carthage in about 4 minutes, and it may already be starting to knock on the door on the western part of Carthage. Caledonia at 9:22, Cushing 9:28, so that's back here in northern Nacogdoches County. Timpson, then Tenaha, then Appleby about 9:52, so that's going to be up to the north. So this whole area again is just fanning out, and so this is a large warning that includes, I mean, if you think about it, Cherokee 1, Nacogdoches 2, Rusk 3, part of Shelby 4, Panola 5, Harrison 6, and so 6 counties, at least 6 counties. I guess you could include a little bit of Gregg County, currently still under, that's the previous warning, but this new warning here includes at least 6 counties under a severe thunderstorm warning until 10 p.m. for those very wicked winds that we have seen producing damage all across the area. We have widespread reports of damage tonight. Just resetting the table here as we head toward 9:15, and we just don't want to leave anyone out to the east that may be going to soon experience winds that we saw here in Smith County. We had winds, an automated surface observation system, so this is confirmed at the airport, 70 mile an hour winds. Sarah and I were sampling some of the core of the winds as they were moving into and through Smith County. And granted, it's one small location, and it may have been just for a moment, but we picked up, I think, as high as 93 miles an hour and other 80 mile an hour wind gusts. And then we started hearing about all of the damage, hurricane force winds plus, or EF0 to almost EF1 strength tornadic winds, even though there was no tornado warning. And that's not to say that we won't go back over time and find some kind of circulation that spun up as those winds were being produced and those straight line winds were hitting the surface and then swirling. Did you know that last Thursday in Nacogdoches County, about 6:40 in the evening, there was a swath of 100-mile-an-hour winds that went through Nacogdoches County, and within that swath of 100-mile-an-hour winds, there was an EF1 tornado that did some damage. National Weather Service meteorologists were out there surveying, and they noticed that there was sort of a pattern that suggested that a tornado had touched down. There was that 100-mile-an-hour wind that knocked a tree into someone's house. There was one injury with that storm. So that's why we've been talking about that a lot tonight, is to get away from windows and go to that interior part of the house. If a tree gets knocked over, we don't want you in a doorway. We don't want you in a window looking outside, and then that tree comes down at any moment. And it's a video that I've seen out of Cedar Creek Lake from last week. The winds blew and it just absolutely snapped the tree in half. I mean, it was within seconds. It just did not take any time at all. And that's how fast these things can happen. So right now the apex of the bow is moving into Carthage. It's in northern Panola County. It's also into the southern part of Panola County, and it's moving into Shelby County. Down here to the southeast, it's moved through Henderson. It's moving into Mount Enterprise. Laneville is already experiencing that storm. Back to the northwest, we continue to have some heavy thunderstorms, which just keep those flash flood warnings going. And when it comes to flash flood, all you need, I believe it's, and I always forget this number, Sarah, so you may have to help me out here. It's 6 inches of water flowing quickly can I think, knock you off your feet, but it could be a foot of water rushing swiftly over a road can loosen a car's tires, right?
Yeah, that's for an average car. And then if you get a little bit more, about 18 inches of water, that's for a larger vehicle. So this is really dangerous out there. We're we got a new report of that flash flood warning that's coming in for areas out to the south. I have it up on my laptop. I can read it off for you. But this is being marked with considerable damage for flash flooding. From the National Weather Service, they're saying that this could potentially be life-threatening flash flooding for the areas. This includes Harrison, Panola, Rusk, and those are our only Texas counties. The rest of it is out over the line.
In the flash flood?
Yes.
Warning? Oh, wow.
So between 1 inch to 3 more inches of rain are expected while this is in effect.
So that's it right in here?
Yes.
We're essentially talking, so considerable flash flooding. So this is life-threatening right in here. Please, if you need to move to higher ground, please do that. That flash flood warning continues. Let's turn off the severe thunderstorm warnings for just a second. And just take a look at the, you probably have to go inside and it may take a couple of steps to do this. There it is. So the flash flood warning is in this area in purple, and that goes for Marshall, and it comes back here into Harrison County in that northern part of Panola County. So Sarah, you're saying they're predicting 1 to 3 additional inches of rainfall in that area? In that area, yes. Okay. And that does include the areas out along the state line, because if you notice under this purple box, it doesn't appear that I can get the severe thunderstorm warning boxes off of it at the moment. But if you see under this purple polygon, it does stretch from just to the east, or I should say just to the west of Marshall, all the way over the state line into Louisiana. Okay. So this is for the entire area. But if you're out in Marshall, or I'm going to zoom in and get some more cities in there. So toward Tatum, Hallsville, Marshall, it looks like you guys are our biggest city in this area that are in East Texas. This is where we're expecting between 1 to 3 inches of rain to fall, and they are marking that with considerable damage. So remember, move to higher ground. If you see water, do not drive into a flooded area. It just takes a little bit of water, like Brett was saying, about 6 inches of quick moving water to knock you off your feet. Remember to turn around, don't drown. That's what's going to keep you safe out there. Never drive into a flooded area, and be especially cautious at night, because it's much harder to see where that water is pooling in low-lying areas. So please be extra cautious out there, Brett. That is so true. At night, it is so deceptive. It may not look as deep as it is, and then once you're in it and you're in trouble, that is not a favorable situation to be in. It is better to be safe than sorry when you get into any kind of high water situation like that, for sure. So we continue to watch those cells push into Panola County, and some strong wind gusts that we know have been at least observed and reported upon as being in that 70 to 80 mile an hour range, and that included parts of Rusk County. And so part of that, and now they're saying in Panola County, high winds, Panola County just west of Carthage. So now that's being confirmed that they are seeing 70 mile an hour winds moving into Carthage. So at least 70 mile an hour winds moving into Carthage. We can take a look at that on our, and we may have a better view of this since we are getting closer to the Shreveport National Weather Service site, but we can take a look at the velocity signature, and you can see right here is probably where they're looking at, right in here, back down toward Dotson. So right anywhere in here. In fact, if we flip over to just straight velocity, I wonder if we'll get anything a little better. So that's saying 38, but there may be pockets in there where it's a little bit stronger. So right in here, there it is. So that bright green area, look at that. Wow. So we're getting strong winds, maybe up to 70 mile an hour, pushing right into the north side of Carthage. This is 59, at least that little pocket there that Sarah just samples close to 50. And then they're down to the south, it's a little bit weaker than that and a little bit weaker to the north. So this is the apex of the bow right in here. And so on this particular sweep, you know, you're looking at 40 to 50 miles an hour. It might be another sweep where it enhances and gets a little bit stronger than that. But this is part of the severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 10 p.m. for the city of Carthage. So what we may end up doing here is once these damaging winds get past the city of Carthage, start to move out toward and closer to the Louisiana border, we may be able to take a break here. We have, of course, CBS19 News at 10 coming up at 10 o'clock tonight, and we'll have to reset and then try to get everything ready to go for the newscast. But you've got heavy rainfall again behind this because of how much rain we're seeing and the flash flood warnings that are coming out of this. There's also tremendous amounts of wind that are being created by the downburst winds. Look at this rainfall rate here. This is almost off the charts at about, well, half. Some of this back in here, it's probably in the order of about 0.6 of an inch to an inch, but this looks a lot more intense than what our estimated rainfall rate back here is. Of course, I think behind it where there's more of the lightning might be in that 1 to 1.5 inch rainfall rate. So initially up front, it's a little bit less, and then we get back into it, you're talking about 1.5 inch an hour rainfall rates. Now, fortunately, or unfortunately, this rains for a solid hour or two, so there's where you could get the 3 inches of rainfall and why they have the considerable tag on the flash flood warning for parts of Harrison County and the city of Marshall, and that severe thunderstorm warning that goes with it. By the way, Longview out of the severe thunderstorm warning, Kilgore, Overton, Winona out of the severe thunderstorm warning right now. Well, maybe not. Looks like there may be another severe thunderstorm warning going all the way back into Smith County until 9:30. So that's part of the original warning that I think went till 9:30, but I think most of the storm now is pushed off to the southeast. That's just how fast the storm has moved in about the last hour and a half. We were considering going off the air at 8 p.m. because the tornado warning for Van Zant County had been canceled early. But then that's when the winds started to pick up, and then we noticed that the winds were gaining a lot more strength in Smith County, and so we stayed with it. And then we started to see the winds outside our studio increasing to the point where they looked like they were getting stronger, and then we started sampling the winds inside, and it was going over 60 miles an hour, more than 60 miles an hour, up closer to 70 miles an hour, and then eventually we were looking at 80, maybe 90 mile an hour winds, and those 80 mile an hour winds possibly have carried all the way through Rusk County and have pushed all the way. This is probably the area where that was in Smith County earlier that has moved all the way into Panola County. It's been that apex, that Boeing segment right there that is now pushed through Carthage. It's now southeast of Carthage and continues to push its way south and eastward. As it does, it continues to produce those winds that could be reaching 70 or 80 miles an hour. So what is that going to do? Well, remember what's been happening with our trees here recently. They've been battered with wind lately. They've been battered with heavy rainfall. Any weakened tree is not going to take much to come down. You get an 80 mile an hour wind, an 80 mile an hour wind can snap a tree. So it doesn't even have to uproot it. It can just snap the tree. That's dangerous. It can peel metal off of like a metal roof off of a building. It could break a window, just shatter a window at the right trajectory. Of course, we had some hail, but it looked like the hail had calmed down a little bit, and that's probably fortunate because sometimes when you have heavy hail like that being driven by wind, you can get all kinds of damage on siding, on homes, and it is just a mess. In fact, if you watch our CBS19 Extreme East Texas weather special this Friday night at 6:30, I'm going to show you a house up in North Texas that just got riddled with wind-driven hail. It's all part of our story that we are updating what we call the radar gap here in East Texas, where we live, where we have the overlap of the Fort Worth radar and of course the Shreveport radar, and why sometimes it's tough to get details and clarity on these storms as they come through here. Tonight, I don't know that we've had any difficulty, especially, and again, what has given us a lot of confidence here is that there have been a lot of great ground reports in terms of matching what the wind speeds were being indicated by radar. So I have not heard many reports down towards southern parts of Rusk County or even into Cherokee County of wind. In fact, Cherokee County looks like the storm has moved out of Cherokee County. So I think Jacksonville's okay, even though you're currently in a severe thunderstorm warning. I don't see any imminent threat there. There's 3 cells here southwest of Mount Enterprise. We'll keep an eye on those. I don't want to see any cell get out here by itself and become what we call discrete. We did have that earlier, and this is what kicked off the whole night. There was that little discrete cell that moved across southern Van Zant County and created a tornado warning. And then that merged with this bigger cell that we're now starting to see move through parts of Carthage. Sarah, let's zoom in right here on this little notch there southeast of Carthage and see what we've got in terms of wind speed or any type of wind direction. I don't see our Titan indicator might be off a little bit. There is just a little bit of maybe rotation within that cell, or just straight winds, straight line winds now that are on the northeast side of Carthage, continuing to move up Highway 79 outside of the loop as it moves to the east. So we'll keep an eye on parts of Panola County and see if we get any reports of any wind damage. But so a couple of things we have going on here tonight. We have the wind, we have wind damage, we have flash flood, considerable flash flooding going on in parts of Harrison County over into Caddo Parish toward the city of Shreveport. I think Marion County was also included in that considerable flash flooding. So with heavier rain moving into an area that's already got flash flooding, that can become a life-threatening situation. So if you live near Marshall, please do not try to get out and drive around. I think the city of Tyler had asked all non-essential travel to not take place. We've got a lot of power outages, got a lot of trees down around the city, and so there's going to be some time for cleanup to begin and tomorrow morning. A lot of that will take place. Also heard unconfirmed that we may have up to 65,000 people without power in Smith County tonight after those storms rolled through here. Looks like there's still some fairly decent winds now blowing down toward Dotson, Gary City, and also toward Timpson, right here to the west of Highway 59. And then out of Timpson, that'll head over to the east toward Logansport. So still a lot of wind being produced by this storm as it's moved farther and farther to the southeast. I'll see if there's anything on Facebook. Sarah, if we can help anybody out answer any other questions.
Yeah, Brett, I was seeing a lot of questions out specifically toward Chandler. They're picking up on that Titan indicator that's popping up out there. There is a little storm that's currently out to the west toward Edom and toward Van. This is currently a severe thunderstorm. It's not warned, well, I should say a strong thunderstorm, because it's not warned as a severe thunderstorm. You can see it just popping over the I-20 there toward Carroll, toward Edom, New Harmony. That's heading out towards Swan and Lindale. This is where we're seeing lots of lightning. It is showing just a little bit of gusty winds. That Titan indicator that you're seeing, where you're seeing that yellow arrow spin, that just means that we are seeing broad rotation. That's not something to worry about. That just means that it's broadly rotating, which a lot of storms do. But we aren't seeing any lowering there. Really, the biggest thing that you need to watch out here for this specific cell near Edom and Lindale and just to the east of Van at the moment is we're seeing lots of lightning and probably some heavy rain out of that. I'm going to switch over to our rainfall rates. So yeah, for areas that are under the pinks and the reds, that's what we're seeing, much heavier rain just to the north of Edom on toward Ben Wheeler on 64. And then on I-20 toward Carroll, heading toward Lindale, very heavy rain coming out of that. We currently don't have a flash flood warning. I don't believe we do. Oh, we do have a flash flood warning, excuse me, for that area. That's going to go until 11:30 for areas including Van, Canton, Grand Saline, and out toward Terrell. But for Mineola and Lindale, that's going to go about 15 minutes longer. You'll be under a flash flood warning until right around 11:45. Now, we do have lots of flash flood warnings really stretching across the piney woods here. It was this one out toward Marshall where we were seeing it was marked as considerable damage. So please, if you're out toward Marshall, Tatum, Waxham, make sure that you are staying very safe out there. We also have that severe thunderstorm warning in place for the areas that are under the yellow polygon. I'll turn off our lightning here, that way we can get a better look at it. That includes Marshall toward Tatum, Carthage, Pine Hill, Dodson, and out toward Gary City. Now we do have this gusty, this bowing segment that's out toward Carthage, heading out toward the state line at the moment. This is where we're seeing the gustiest winds, which I'll throw a track on this so that we can just get another look at where it's going to go. It looks like, actually, let's put it in place so you can see it a little bit better. You can see just how quickly this big blob of gusty winds, this big swath came through. Now, we were seeing reports of between around 70 miles per hour out of this wind system. When we were sampling it on our radar, it came in around 90, so that's unconfirmed, but that is what we're seeing from our radar. Lots of gusty winds. Gary City, that leading edge is right on your doorstep now. Center, it might reach you guys pretty quickly, staying out toward Garrison and Logansport. If you are in any of those cities, I'd recommend moving away from any windows, because I saw a report in the National Weather Service chat where some windows were bust open due to the very gusty nature of this storm, but it's this little bowing segment that we're really tracking. I'll throw a track on it real fast. It's moving at about 20 miles per hour to the southeast. So you can find your city on there. Out toward Garrison, that'll get closer to you around 9:45. Logansport, right around 10. Center, closer to 10. Shelbyville, around 10:15. So this is moving rather quickly, and it does appear that it's trying to bow out just a little bit. I'm watching this little notch just to the southeast of Carthage at the moment. I'll zoom in on it so you can get a better look at it. This little notch right here, I'm watching that just to see what it does. But right now, the biggest thing we are concerned about are gusty winds and some remaining flooding on the roadway. So what's going to happen if you have yet to see these storms? So if you're out toward Garrison, Shelbyville, Tenana, I apologize if I'm pronouncing that city wrong, but this is going to continue to push out to the southeast. You're going to get gusty winds first, so make sure you're staying away from the windows. Then after the gusty winds pass over you, winds will be slightly less breezy, and then we will slowly start to see lots of rain fall across areas to the south. So that includes Carthage, Henderson, and Tatum. Now, lots of lightning is currently coming out of this system as we speak. I'm going to go ahead and get a track on it to see how much lightning is currently coming across East Texas. This will be a track of the last 15 minutes or so. And actually, let me put a better box on that. That way we can get all of the cells that are currently out toward Marshall as well. All right, so that's going to come in right around 800 strikes of lightning over the past 15 minutes. So the storm isn't quite as lightning filled as it was when we checked about an hour ago. So that's a good sign. It may be getting a little bit less. Okay, I'm getting reports in from the National Weather Service in South Tyler. We're getting a report from another meteorologist. Between 4 to 6 inches of water are on Broadway and US 69 in town. Also, many tree limbs in neighborhoods have come out, and some power for many areas. We've seen dark lights out there. But really, if you have power, remember, it is important to report it. Don't assume that it's already been reported for your area. Your neighbor might not have done that, or they might have a different server for their power. So make sure that you go ahead and report that. But really, once these gusty winds get out of here, the biggest thing that we're going to be worried about is the heavy rain. We have lots of flash flood warnings out there. Remember, it only takes 6 inches of water to sweep you off your feet. It takes about 12 to wash away most vehicles, and then about 18 to wash away anything larger than that. So that doesn't take that much rain. If we're already seeing around 6 inches of water in some areas of South Tyler, that is enough to be concerning. And especially because it's nighttime, it's going to be harder to see where this water is pooling out on the roads. So make sure that you are staying extra vigilant. And we have seen reports from Tyler city officials that they're asking residents to limit travel to essential essential travel only, and that's just going to keep you safe, especially with all of the standing water out there. Now I'm going to throw one last track on this before I toss things over to our chief meteorologist, Britt Anthony, again. But this is going to continue to push out to the southeast at about 90 miles an hour, right around 25 miles per hour. And it's getting very quickly out to the state line. Center, it appears that you guys are one of our last cities here in East Texas that may be seeing this gusty bowing segment, but it's moving very quickly out to the southeast here very quickly. Hey, Brett?
All right, Sarah, yeah, so we continue to track the storms. You can leave this up. Can we get a shot of our, there's a shot of our Kilgore camera. Let's take a look at our SFA camera. We probably get a pretty good view of all of this lightning that we're seeing right now in parts of, or at least from Nacogdoches County looking back to the north. It looks like Nacogdoches County currently under that severe thunderstorm warning, but it doesn't look like the storms are pushing imminently into Nacogdoches County. Center in Shelby County certainly are there. Here's the apex of that bow. This has been the most problematic part of this entire storm, and it continues to show some very good definition here where there could be 70 to 80 mile an hour winds, if not even a little bit stronger than that. And so Logansport at 9:48, so that's just about 12 minutes from now. So what we're going to try to do is stay on until we start our 10 o'clock news, and then from 10 o'clock to 10:30 we'll do our regular news, but we'll switch more into damage and assessment mode from there, because at that time most of the severe threat should be pushing into Louisiana, and the severe threat will be quieting down also at that time. And the severe thunderstorm watch, I believe it probably was extended a little bit longer, but through all of this we honestly have not had a really chance to keep up with that. But when you have severe thunderstorms warnings, of course they supersede a severe thunderstorm watch. But at any rate, yeah, there are still thunderstorms back into Smith County. There's lots of what we would consider flash flood warnings in that purple. And we've watched those flash flood warnings just sort of creep southward through Smith County, through Gregg County, into Panola County. Now those flash flood warnings go all the way into Cherokee County and all the way into parts of Rusk County, southern Rusk County, almost the entire county of Rusk County and all of Panola County in a flash flood warning. And the flash flooding is probably, more people die in flash floods than they do in tornadoes. And a lot of people don't realize that. Tornadoes get a lot of headlines, but it's the flash flooding that surprises people. And there are likely, in some instances, more flash flood warnings issued than tornado warnings within a year. So believe it or not, look at all the flash flood warnings we've had here tonight. Nathan, say that again for me. Sorry. All right, so we have the Stephen F. Austin State University camera, and this is going to be the stadium. And I believe this looks off to the north. So this should look into those thunderstorms. We should be able to see some of the flashes of lightning. So it's curious we're not seeing it, because on radar, boy, we're just seeing everything kind of lit up right now. In fact, let's go back to radar and we'll wait and see if we can get some more. Could be far enough away that we're just not seeing anything, because there's Nacogdoches, and that's where we would be looking up toward Henderson or toward Laneville. But right now, not seeing a lot from our Nacogdoches camera. All right, so if we got the Kilgore camera up again, we maybe see a view. That camera looks out to the east. You can see streets are wet, not seeing a ton of wind right now at Kilgore. Things have settled down for sure. The flagpole here showing the wind direction currently looks like it's still out of the south. So even though the storms went through, it really didn't do anything in terms of switching the winds around or bringing us cooler air. What it's going to do is basically add more humidity to the atmosphere. And then tomorrow, believe it or not, there is a chance for more scattered showers and thunderstorms in the morning, but it does look like it kind of quiets down in the afternoon. And then Wednesday, there's a chance for additional showers and thunderstorms to come back through. And then the pattern should shift. There's a big area of high pressure off the west coast that looks like it's drifting eastward Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and by Thursday, Friday, we should be closer and closer to that high pressure system, and it should just basically shut off the rain flow that we've seen here recently. Just these repeated showers and thunderstorms have been going around that high pressure system and then just moving right over parts of East Texas. And each one, because we have all this humidity, and then we heat up into the mid 80s, closer to 90 degrees, we have all that energy. It's just the perfect recipe. Every day's been a perfect recipe for at least severe thunderstorm warnings, if not tornado warnings. And in this instance, certainly winds that have just exceeded, there's the lightning flash right there, have just exceeded the damage or the potential, or the damaging limit, I should say, of 58 miles an hour. They've been way up there in that 70 to 80 mile an hour range. All right, back to the radar we go. And as we take a look at this, we have a new severe thunderstorm warning. That does now look like it's been extended into Louisiana. So that's going to cross the border and then head over toward some of the parishes of Louisiana, including Bossier Parish, Caddo, DeSoto, I believe Red River. And the counties still remaining in that would be Harrison, Panola, and Shelby County until 10:45. Then we still have a portion of the warning back here for Harrison, Panola, Rusk, and Shelby County until 10 o'clock. So now the apex of the bow has moved out. It's currently right on the Louisiana border. It's past Carthage at this time. There is a little bit of a threat moving down into northern parts of Shelby County. There is also a little bit of a threat into northern parts of Nacogdoches County. But again, we have not heard any reports in Mount Enterprise of any type of wind damage, just some heavier rain down there, some thunderstorms that have created a flash flood warning for the southern part of Rusk County. That severe thunderstorm warning goes until 10 o'clock. The other severe thunderstorm warning has been extended until 9:45. All right, we've heard reports across the city of Tyler of power out. We've heard trees, numerous trees down in neighborhoods. We're probably in the light of day tomorrow going to see a lot more. You're going to hear that too familiar sound of chainsaws that have been cutting up trees here recently. We'll wait for your power company to try to get out there, get away from the lightning, and hopefully restore power. But many of us may go throughout the night without power tonight, just based on what we've seen in terms of the scope of this thunderstorm. This has been widespread. If you think about it, it stretches from Harrison County all the way down to really northern Nacogdoches County. And the wind itself was at least across parts of Upshur County, Gregg County, Rusk, Smith, and then now it's pushed into Panola County and through parts of Harrison County. So it's been a pretty big cluster of thunderstorms as it moved into the area and then gained strength. And then as it has just maintained itself all this time, all the way through East Texas here tonight. At some point, we're going to have to let Sarah go. She has to get up for the morning and then kind of wrap up all of this. But so if you need to take a break and you need to head out, feel free. I'm going to carry us through till about 10 o'clock. And then after
this?
Yep, I got this. And then I'll have Brennan probably join me. We got Mata and Jelly Lopez. She's out covering storms right now. We have some other crews out in the field. They are assessing the damage and trying to get together some pictures for us that we'll put together at 10 o'clock. And we're just about 15 minutes away from news time. We'll reset the table at the top of the hour. We'll go through what our current watches and warnings are at that time, and then we'll go through and sort of switch this over to more, I think, what we've seen in terms of damage mode, because these severe thunderstorm warnings will be expiring at 10 o'clock. And then, of course, as you look back towards Smith County, this is just a thunderstorm in northern Smith County. There's a little thunderstorm back here west of Canton and up to the north. There's also some flash flood warnings. Sarah Blue did a great job tonight. Thank you for coming in, Sarah.
Happy to help. I'll see
All on Morning Y'all tomorrow to cover
Sarah's
what we're
normal
seeing.
shift is 3 a.m. to noon. And for her to come back, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Of course. Hope y'all are safe out there.
That's above and beyond. So yeah, if you see Sarah, give her a big thank you for her duty in keeping us all safe here tonight from these storms that rolled through here. So team player, we need that, and we've got that here at CBS 19, her and Savannah Hale, and really the whole news crew. So we're just so appreciative of everybody, and appreciative of everybody that's been tuning in on our Facebook stream and also at CBS19.tv, our stream there. Hopefully we've been able to keep you safe tonight. That was our main goal. It's why we stayed on there was a tornado warning. We came on about 7:45, then about 8 o'clock, that tornado warning was allowed to expire. But we saw something in the wind field that was developing up toward Mineola, back toward Canton. It was starting to move into northern Smith County that just didn't look right. There's a big hail core around Swan. And then as that began to sort of collapse, then we had very strong winds sort of get injected into the storm from behind. And when we saw that happening, we knew instantly that we were in for perhaps some destructive winds. And it looks like we've had that across most of East Texas, or at least a wide swath from Smith County through Gregg County, through Rusk County, all the way down into Panola County and now that area is starting to move into parts of western Louisiana at this time. We still have some scattered showers, thunderstorms, southern parts of Rusk County. Again, that is a severe thunderstorm warned portion of the storm that will go until 10 p.m. along with those other parts of the storm. I just want to give you an idea of how much lightning we're talking about. There's still quite a bit of lightning. When we see lightning with this intensity and this type of coverage, we still know that we have some stronger thunderstorms that are out there, and indeed we do at this time. So we have strong thunderstorms still moving through the area, and I'll just shrink those lightning bolts down here and go back and talk more about that. So this is a wall of, this is nonstop lightning right now in Harrison County. Almost nonstop lightning back into parts of Gregg County into northern Panola County. Again, the rainfall rates here, they were expecting an additional 1 to 3 inches of rain across this area where there was already probably in excess of 3 inches of rainfall. So there may be up to 6 inches of rainfall in this area. Sometimes when I show you those rainfall forecast maps during the news, and I'll often stress, don't tie these numbers to these cities. I didn't do that so much tonight because this cell looked like it was going to move to the south and maybe stall a little bit. But that's just a great indication when we say don't marry those numbers to those cities, because what that is that's guidance that there's heavy rainfall going to set up somewhere in your area. Exactly where that sets up, that is still to be determined. And in this instance, instead of perhaps it being a little farther to the south, it's set up like this. It's still set up in that same kind of area or idea that it was going to be north, like from maybe northeast back to the southwest. It still had that idea. It's just a little bit farther to the northwest where we've seen more of the rainfall, the heavier rainfall with this storm. And again, here we're still not out of the woods in terms of lightning. I would not venture out anywhere with that lightning still coming down at pretty good clip here in northern parts of Rusk County. Really good lightning bolt just lit up on the Kilgore camera there. That was pretty impressive. And Kilgore is going to be out here looking to the east, so it's looking into that storm where all that heavy rain is. So flash flood warning, let me see if I can go back and maybe reset some of these flash flood warnings for us across our area. So we know that we've got the severe thunderstorm warnings, right? So what do we have in terms of the flash flood warnings? I think that the wind's moving out. We can probably look more or less at the flash flood warning threat here as we head through the next hour or so. Severe thunderstorm warning, I will turn that off. And we'll see if we get the severe thunderstorm warning popped back up again. So, oh, that's because that was the wrong one. Okay. We're going to turn this off and see if we can get the, okay, well, we'll abandon that idea. I was trying to turn the yellow boxes off, so we just had the purple one so that we get that information up there for the times. But again, these will supersede those flash flood warnings with severe thunder warnings, the severe thunderstorm warnings perhaps having an immediate life-threatening component to them in terms of wind and or the potential to produce a tornado. Now, none of these right now are pegged or highlighted in that kind of scenario. All of these are for the strong winds that we've seen here so far across parts of East Texas. They're for winds in excess of 58 miles an hour. So that's why those are warned as they are. All right, so what are we getting from the National Weather Service offices? Again, we'll go to those chat rooms because you've got spotters in the field, you've got emergency managers, you've got ham radio operators, all part of the integrated warn team, and everybody on that integrated warn team can certainly look at that, at the data that's coming in, and then give us an idea of what we're seeing. All right, and what are we getting out of the National Weather Service? Okay, a couple pictures of some, I think we showed you a picture. In fact, I'll go back to this. They're talking about, and we don't know, I mean, again, if this did anything, but this kind of prompted, let me show you a picture here that prompted the outdoor warning siren system to go off in the city of Tyler. This was a storm cell that was close to Lindsay Park at about 6:30 this evening. Now, earlier today, the city of Tyler made an announcement that they would be testing the tornado sirens. I think little did they know you'd have something like this, and that when this was spotted, that the tornado sirens went off. So we have no indication that this produced a tornado, but certainly a pretty distinct lowering. Looks like a pretty distinct wall cloud. It's tilted in the right direction to where it would produce a tornado in that area. But again, we don't see anything that it produced. It did have some nice inflow into the storm. You can see that spiraling as the wind was wrapping up and that storm was rotating. So, excuse me. So yeah, this was a scary looking scene for a while. The outdoor warning sirens went off. It was at the same time we had the very strong winds coming through parts of Smith County. All right, back to the radar here tonight, where we continue to wind down. We got about 9 more minutes to go on this coverage. We're going to switch over to CBS 19 News at 10 o'clock. We'll take you through the news at 10 o'clock. Then we should be able to say goodnight on this storm. The threat will be over. The flash flood warning threat will still be there. And we'll tell you time and time again when you see those purple areas. So you're included in that in Gregg County. You're included in that in Smith County. Really almost every county except for Nacogdoches County, southern parts of Cherokee County, and Shelby County, and then anywhere south of that, you are not under a flash flood warning right now. But everywhere else, please heed the advice of not trying to drive through high water tonight or tomorrow morning. 6 inches of water. If you try to walk through 6 inches of water and it's flowing swiftly, you can unsteady your balance and knock you over. A foot of water flowing quickly across, say, a low water bridge or something of that nature, you drive your car into that. If your wheels get unseated from the road, they become detached, whatever the pace of the water, wherever the direction of the water, it's just going to take you. It's going to sweep you into the creek, and then you're at the beck and call of what the water is going to do. So it's a serious situation when it comes to flash flooding. And if you see high water in creeks and things like that, please don't try to play in it. It's just, that's not safe at all either. So if water comes up and then water's got all kinds of maybe some stuff for runoff where it's picked up just dirt and things that you just don't want to be in. So certainly that's good reason to just avoid flash flood waters at all costs. So again, well, I'll just repeat myself here just to get us to 10 o'clock, but with that severe thunderstorm warning, Harrison, Panola, Rusk, and Shelby County. We could do a new track on this, but really we're just in the wall of water right now. That the wind threat has moved a little bit farther to the east. So that wind threat has kind of moved away from us. That wind threat's more over here. There is a bit of a wind threat in parts of Shelby County. Let me go check that out for some of the folks down in center. While we do that, let's take a shot at that Kilgore camera. That has been lighting up now. There's quite a bit of lightning firing up from the Kilgore camera. And as we look at that, just kind of keep an eye on that eastern horizon. That's looking out to the east, the world's richest acres to the left-hand side of your screen. There you've got the theater in downtown Kilgore. The lights are on in Kilgore, at least in downtown Kilgore. That's certainly good news. So I know we've had thousands of people lose power tonight on a night where some of us may have just gotten power back, and then here we go with another storm that knocks power back out. So that is not what we were wanting for sure. All right, so I'll zoom in here. Carthage, Henderson, Mount Enterprise, and if we go back to the radar, okay, radar's up, so let me walk you through the storms here. So we have northern Smith County. This is a flash flood warning till 11:45, okay? So 11:45 for this flash flood warning. City of Tyler is included in that, Mineola, also just up to Gilmer. So anywhere in here with this rain continuing to fall, flash flood warning south of Interstate 20, includes Swan, includes, I believe, White House, maybe Flint. I think Troop is going to be farther south of that. Might include ARP, but you get the gist, because the southern part of the county is also in a flash flood warning also. So all areas are under a flash flood warning. In Smith County, here's another. This is a really big flash flood warning. This one goes until 12:15, okay? So this one includes Gregg County. So this flash flood warning is Gregg County, all of Rusk County, southern Smith County, northern Cherokee County, and then this one goes out, includes a little portion of Shelby County, most of Panola County. And then I'll show you this one up here that includes Marshall, that has the considerable tag on it, meaning that could be a life-threatening situation when it comes to flash flooding. So this is the one of, I would say, most concern. It's hard to put any kind of concern on flash flooding. That one, that's the severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 10 o'clock. Let me try to get to the flash flood warning that is included in the. Okay, there it is. So this one also goes until midnight. This is the considerable flash flood threat, and that includes many parishes in Louisiana, but also includes Harrison County in northeastern Texas, northern Panola, northeastern Rusk. And this is, they're in this area here, in this area in purple, 1 to 3 inches of rain fell, and then this area, this big area of heavy rain moved across that area. So in here, 3 to 6 inches of rainfall going back to perhaps about 4 o'clock this afternoon. So in the last 6 hours, 4 to 6 inches of rain. So the rainfall rate there was easily 1 inch an hour, maybe 1.5 inches an hour. So it'll be interesting to see what our rainfall totals are out of this. Again, that flash flood warning goes until midnight, and then that will be allowed to expire. It should expire. The rain should be moving out by that time. All right, so we'll walk you through now what we have in terms of the severe thunderstorm warnings. We still had that one. Looks like they have issued another severe thunderstorm warning downstream. All right, so you have all of these counties that you see highlighted in that brighter yellow. It just it accentuated the yellow area here. So that's Marshall. That's going back to eastern Rusk County into central parts of Cherokee County. Interesting that they are included in that, since we're not seeing any type of radar echoes there. Northern Nacogdoches County, up through Shelby County, and then northward through Panola County all the way back to Marshall County. So, or I should say Harrison County. And so Marshall would be included in that. So that goes until 10 o'clock. So this has got about 3 more minutes to go. This will probably be allowed to expire at that time. So I'm going to, at some point here, I'll just wait for our producer, Nathan Williams, to tell me to pitch to the open of the show, and then we'll start CBS 19 News at 10 o'clock as we would. And of course, we'll probably just talk about the weather off the top, and then start to show you some of the damage and some of the reports that we've heard across East Texas here tonight, and what has really turned out to be a storm that had more damage than perhaps some of the other storms that we've seen so far. And that's a lot to say. I mean, we had a lot of stronger storms that came through. This one was sitting in an area, remember, at the beginning of the day, the Storm Prediction Center put East Texas in a slight risk. So a slight risk means scattered, intense thunderstorms are possible. And of course, we have seen that. In fact, we've seen sort of widespread intense thunderstorms when this is all said and done. So we may have been able to be upgraded to an enhanced risk at some point, and I'm not sure that we weren't. I don't know for sure. Again, I've not looked at anything from Storm Prediction Center since we've been covering these storms endlessly since the top of about 7:45 this evening. So really weaker signatures coming through here, except for some moderate rain with a lot of thunder and lightning. So Nathan, you give me the go ahead, and we will we could toss the break if you want me to and come back on the reset, or we can just simply start CBS 19 News straight up at 10 o'clock. So you just let me know what to do, and we're going to do that, okay? Okay, all right. So with that in mind, I'm going to play this in motion. Probably turn off all the warnings here. Just know that there are still some severe thunderstorm warnings, but we're just going to try to kind of give us an idea of where we stand in terms of where the storms are moving, how fast they're moving, and we'll go back through this is going to be the last 3 hours of data here. So you're going back to 7 p.m. That was just as we got off CBS 19 News at 6 to 6:30, and so now you can see what essentially happened. So you had the thunderstorms just sort of organize and then just really race off to the southeast. So at one point, they're moving about 20 miles an hour. Now they were moving probably 40 to 50 miles an hour. What happened here? So there's an area of low pressure that formed on that side of the storm, and there's another area of low pressure right here. And so we essentially got what we'd call a rear inflow jet, or low-level jet stream energy. And as you get closer to sunset, because of the differences in the temperatures between, say, here in the southern plains and the Rockies. Sometimes that lower level wind can be enhanced, and when that lower level wind is enhanced, it helps to increase the thunderstorm activity. And so that's essentially what we had happen here. And that's why we had all of that wind. Now we hope this does not repeat itself tomorrow. We'll wait and see. The atmosphere recovered today after last night's thunderstorms. The timing was such that they came in kind of later in the day. So if we have thunderstorms that perhaps will come in earlier in the morning, it may be able to sort of mitigate and sort of keep us a little more stable tomorrow. All right, so it's now 10 o'clock, so we'll just go with CBS 19 News at 10, and I'll just start with first weather, or Brennan, you want to jump in here? And okay, so let's start CBS 19 News at 10.